practice here. I think everyone's mind is in terms of making sure that those tires are hang on there for the last 10 minutes of this 40-minute race.
Well, tell us about this track too. This beautiful circuit here, built 5 years ago, obviously for Formula One, the only purpose-built Formula One track in the United States of America. But I'm talking to a lot of these drivers. This track's pretty bumpy too.
It is. They've had some pretty severe winters in terms of a lot of rain. Of course, there's some heaving within the underground to the racetrack, and they're actually going to come in here next month. They've purchased a brand new high-tech grinder from Europe, which is going to come in and really trim out some of these bumps in the road, but that's not happening this weekend. So particularly down here into the brake zone for turn 11, a lot of bumps right there. So it's adding, I feel, to the personality of the track, but certainly in terms of your setup, you've got to try and adjust around that. But the racetrack itself, such a great facility. They're doing wonderful things with it. There's a brand new karting facility right here when you come towards the front tunnel. They've got a couple of driving schools now here, the Audi driving experience. Lots of things are going on here, so it's really in a great place right now. But the racetrack itself, a little bit of everything. Lots of high-speed straightaways, long straightaways here, where it's like a little bit of a dyno run. You've got tight corners typically leading onto those, so you need to get the power down, and certainly with front-wheel drive cars, that can be an issue. And it's going to be exciting, and you've got that elevation 130 feet up into turn 1, big wide-open brake zone there. There'll be plenty of action for sure.
Definitely going to be exciting on the start, of course. Rolling start for the first race tomorrow. If you're joining us here at world-challenge.com for our live web stream, you will see the standing start for all of our touring car category cars. Only one front-wheel drive in TC this race. That's the brand new car, the Honda Civic Type R. Joshua Foran didn't make a qualifying time. We'll see if he makes that grid in that number 93 Team HMA Honda Civic. But so rear-wheel drive obviously has the advantage here on the standing starts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the weight goes to the back when you jump on the power, so if that's over the driving wheels, that'll certainly be an advantage. But as you mentioned, pretty much dominated by rear-wheel drive BMWs and Nissans here in the touring car category. Obviously, it changes a little bit when you get to TCR and TCA a little bit later in the day. Good
shot of the grid there. Classic BMW in that beautiful M3 GTS leading our field here. I want to give a huge thank you to Classic BMW, providing our pace car as well as our medical vehicle, a beautiful BMW X5, going to be able to chase the field. Have a nice crew there. Is just a few more minutes away here until we get our command to start engines to get this race underway. 40 minutes on the clock, timed event from a rolling start. 3.4-mile road course, 20 turns here at Circuit of the Americas, and there's a top view of that climb. And really, it does not do it justice how high you have to climb up this hill into turn number 1.
Now, when you see that for the very first time, we have a lot of drivers here, particularly in their GT ranks with the Sprint X format this weekend. Some European GT stars here for the first time. They say you can drive it on the simulator, but until you climb that hill for the very first time, it's hard to put into words. A little bit of like the banking at Daytona. Until you actually experience it firsthand, it's a very different proposition. But it's a wonderful place. I mean, from there, you then tip down through the S's where it just keeps winding on and coming at you. And there's some real tricks of the trade getting through there. There's some boys who are really quick through there and how you attack those S's, and then into the bumpy brake zone for turn 11. That's a key corner getting out of there effectively. And of course, track limits is always a hot button here at Circuit of the Americas. Certainly our driver steward Brian Till is on top of the boys, telling them what they can do. Essentially, you've got to have, you know, at least the inside wheels on the blacktop. If all 4 wheels are over that white line, that's the white line nearest to the racetrack, not on the other side of the curbing, you're going to be out of bounds and you'll get a call, and eventually you can be suffering a drive-through penalty. So you need to be on top of that and pick your moments.
All the way there, if you look underneath, you can see the different shades in the asphalt where the bumps are, the darker rubber where the tires are locking up, so to speak, there as they hit that bumps coming down here to the final corner, turn 20, leading onto the front stretch here. How much does draft play a key here at this track?
It really does. It plays a big part, particularly between 11 and 12, and you know, that'll certainly be a factor here this afternoon. It's going to be great to see how all of these make shape up here this afternoon. Essentially, it's like a 2-horse battle, really, in terms of Nissan versus BMW with that lone car at the back of the pack. But nonetheless, seeing with the BOP this year how everything stacks up, I'm excited to call my first touring car race.
It's going to be great. Yeah, appreciate you joining us in the booth here for touring car. Going to be exciting. So down on pit lane, of course, adding to our staff, Gino Carini, longtime Pirelli World Challenge touring car competitor. He'll be joining us, hopefully capturing some stories for us about what happens here in this 40-minute race. So get to see all the action here live at world-challenge.com. There's a brand new app as well. If you search your App Store or Google Play Store, search for the Pirelli World Challenge app. Well, to give the famous command in motorsports, let's get down to pit lane. Gino Carini.
With the most infamous words in motorsports, Kevin.
What an honor this is. On behalf of Nissan North America and the Pirelli Tire Company, drivers, start your engines!
Thank you, Kevin. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you so much, Gino. Of course, Rick Kulak giving our command to start engines there, the Nissan Motorsports manager from Nissan Corporate. And it's funny, like you mentioned earlier, Cal, first, third, fifth, seventh, all lined up on that inside groove up into turn number 1, all Nissan 370Zs.
Yeah, I think he's got to be excited. Rick's a great motorsport manager for Nissan. I think his nickname is Kevin, by the way, so we'll tease him about that a bit later. But Vesco, I think everyone anticipated that he'd be putting the hammer down, trying to make a statement here in the opening round of the championship. He certainly did that in qualifying, but he had a margin of about just under half a second, which in this form of competition is something else. But even so, it's all going to be about the durability of the car, keeping the tires underneath you, and managing that for the full extent of this race.
You see Vesco, Kozarov, Jacob Ruud starting on the outside of that front row in that Winding Road Racing TFB Performance BMW M235i. It's Paul Terry, a new addition to the championship this season. Teammates to your pole sitter, Vesco, Kozarov starting there in third. A good shot of that Nissan 370Z.
Anticipation is high. I mean, it's a long off season and you're just waiting to get going. You work through the winter months in terms of putting your programs together, choosing which car is going to be your weapon for the season, and now it's go time. You've had the practice, you've had the testing, you've got a qualifying run under your belts, but now it's the first green flag of the season, and everyone's itching to go.
The 91, Carl Whitmer, you see that in that BMW M235i Racing from Classic BMW. Starting in the 4th place, you saw Carl campaigning the Honda St. Rose Accord last season with the home team in the Whitmer, but he is actually competing now rear-wheel drive car. The first time he's ever driven a rear-wheel drive car. Qualified 4th, kind of got acclimated to that fast-track racing machine quickly.
Yeah, but that whole family, they got 4 young boys there who are really, really quick, and I think Carl will adjust very quickly, as he's shown already and demonstrated with his pace throughout the course of this weekend. Lining up 4th, it's a nice qualifying run for him. It's pretty tight behind Vesco. Vesco had that gap to 2nd place on the grid by about half a second, but behind them there's just a few hundreds and tenths between them all, so should be a fierce battle. We'll have to wait and see if Vesco tries to take off or just manage it from the front.
Doing a good job warming up their Pirelli P0 tires here. All the cars shod on those Pirelli P0 tires this weekend. Steve Streamer coming here. The Genesis Coupe, Jeff Rica. Some limited success here in Pirelli World Challenge competition. Had a huge crash with that car 2 years ago at Lime Rock Park. Spent most of that year getting it rebuilt. Came back for select races in 2017, and he's back again here too.
He had a lot of engine issues last year, he's telling me, but he feels that they're on top of those now, and he said the other morning we had an early morning practice session. He said the car was absolutely flying with that turbocharger, really running well in those sort of conditions, but not quite as warm as we saw on the anticipated forecast coming into the weekend, even though it's pretty muggy here today with lots of cloud cover.
Yeah, it's lights going out on the pace car coming down here into turn number 12, so still got a little ways to go here till they get back to the line for the green flag. There's a good shot. Tony Rivera in that red Nissan 370Z back there. Longtime competitor here for Pirelli World Challenge competition. Got Hawk SPL Parts, a local company here in Austin, creates suspension components. So good job for a local company sponsoring him all season long in that 370Z.
Yeah, just a fierce competitor. Many wins over the years, and I think he's a man who could move a little bit closer to the front. I'm sure qualifying 5th was not what he had in mind when he came into this weekend, but nonetheless, it's a great effort, and that's what's cool about this form of competition. You got some pretty kind of on the pro level teams out there running several cars, and then you got some family run operations that are equally quick and get the job done.
When you talk about those family operations, it's Tony Rivera and his wife. That's it. Those are the 2 crew guys. This car's getting side by side here, lined up as we get ready to go green. Still got a couple more corners here out of turn number 18. Joshua Foran in that Honda Civic Type R did make the field, and you see that shot starting back there in the 6th place. Johan Swartz, we'll talk about him a little bit later as they come down through turn 19. One more corner as they enter our acceleration zone, looking for that green flag.
See how Vesco manages this start here. Jacob Ruud on the outside pole.
Now Look at the finish line is right here. The start line is further up underneath the time lap board there. Waiting for that green flag is smoke. Green flag, we are green. They fan out down this straightaway. Josh Foran in the back there trying to get there. But look at Rivera, going to see if he can go down to the inside, Cal.
Yeah, well, I said he may not have been that happy with the 5th place running in qualifying. Look at him right to the inside of Vesco as they get into that. You can see the undulation there into the brake zone. 3 wide there in the middle of the pack. People running wide there. Just trying to avoid contact on the exit.
It is Vesco Kozarov, though, goes back to the inside. Jacob Ruud to the inside of Rivera, but good spot for Rivera. 5th to 2nd on the first corner.
Yeah, great start there. We see a little bit of smoke from one of the cars running in about the 5th or 6th position. So Vesco now, he had the edge in qualifying. He's got the hammer down. Some of this will come down to your starting tyre pressures with those Pirelli P0s, but a great battle. There's a touch. They go for a ride. Whitmer just skates through. The rest of the field coming through here.
Wow, got to watch out. Jacob Rudd got into the back of Tony Rivera there. Both spun. It looks like Jacob, I think, saw that he had a run there, got out of the gas, but it was a little too late.
Yeah, and you just loaded up there through the S's, and I think he just caught Tony right at the wrong moment, and they both went for a big slide there. Luckily, we didn't have more cars involved and more damage.
See if we can get a look at that, Cal.
Yeah, it just catches him right as he's loaded up there. I think that's through turns 3 and 4.
And Jacob Ruud in the back of Tony Rivera there. You got to think they both, looks like they got back underway and they're able to recover. At least Tony Rivera trying to work his way back up now.
You could say that was a little rude, Jeff.
A little rude. So
up front, cars are off.
Yeah, Vesco able to pull his lead out a little bit. Right behind him, it is Carl Whitmer and Paul Terry, who got a terrible start, dropped back to 5th. We saw a little smoke coming out. Probably could have been a little bit of fuel overflow, perhaps. They're really going to pack these tanks full. You're on the gas a lot here at Circuit of the Americas.
Everyone's settling in now. Tire temp should be there. Then you see that overspray as well from the left rear corner of that Nissan.
Not sure what that's coming from.
See if that develops now as he loads up through the right hander. There is a little bit of gain. Not sure if it's tire rub or some overflow.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's some overflow, possibly fuel. That's right back with a saddlebag fuel tank. So it's got a fuel cell right there in the left rear of that reared-in racing machine. Paul Terry Trucking making his debut here in Pirelli World Challenge.
Vesco, healthy lead at the front. Kozarov done a great job. You can see there the 33 machine really having to tuck back in. Paul Terry there, you've got to be observant of these track limits. You just lose your focus a little bit and just think, I'm just going to unwind my hands, and he's out of the corner and suddenly the stewards are going to be all over you. So you just got to be on top of that throughout the course of this race. They'll give you a couple of warnings, but then it'll be a drive-through, and that will definitely hurt your day.
Well, heard from race control, it is a drive-through penalty for the number 81, Jacob Ruud, for that contact that he had with Tony Rivera early on that first lap. So he's going to have to come down pit lane, and there he is down on pit lane doing that drive-through penalty.
Well, I think that was an easy call because he definitely turned him around, and you could see that he was leaning on him pretty heavily. So it wasn't just a sudden bump where everyone, like the concertina effect, he was leaning on him, and just not enough tire temp, and in a really heavily loaded corner down there through the S's. And both guys very, very lucky there was not more damage in the opening round to this championship.
Okay, not how he wanted to start his day. Your outside pole sitter, 35 miles an hour down that long pit lane too.
Good little battle here for second. Terry looks to the inside. Whitmer doesn't give it to him.
See a couple changes here on those Nissan 370Zs. The big hood vents on the front, getting rid of a lot of engine temperatures on these cars. The computers were actually modifying the cam signal. I was talking to some of the teams about it and cutting the timing and losing the horsepower, but a lot of horsepower down there as Paul Terry trying to look for the outside move over Whitmer.
Yeah, it looked like he had it through the middle part of the straightaway, but then the BMW seems to open up a little bit there. But I tell you what, Terry's really strong into the brake zone, so I'm not sure if Whitmer is just managing the tires there a little bit, not pushing too hard right now, or whether that Nissan does in fact have an advantage. Look at the rotation. We talk about front wheel drive expert Whitmer. He's really getting a handle with that rear wheel drive, using it to rotate the car.
Still have some fluid venting out of that number 33. A word from the team was that it's a fuel vent overflow, and they had this car packed full of fuel, so that the team has said it should dissipate here. And you see Johan Swartz now starting to catch the back of Terry. He's lost sight with Whitmer.
Our Drift King, is that Guinness Book of World Records? was it 230 miles or something?
232 miles, world's longest drift. The YouTube video where they actually had to refuel mid-drift has about 30 million views of it. They built a custom refueling rig for Johann Swartz. He had set the record initially at 76 miles. Toyota reset the drift record, and BMW, not to be outdone, obliterated it from 86 miles to 232 miles.
Yeah, that was something, I tell you what. And he's a character. I got to meet Johann many years ago when he was running his kart school and track down in the Orlando area. But just a racing addict, I'd put it that way, and just loves his racing. His wife supports him, and this is a great fit for him, I think, with that rear-wheel drive BMW.
Absolutely, being one of those, doing that into that new BMW M5 when he made that world's longest drift. And of course, West Virginia University on the side of his car with the Formula SAE team. Got a couple interns here, but Nick Whitmer putting his head down. Sorry, Carl Whitmer putting his head down and getting that done. It's so many Whitmer brothers, it's hard to call them which one.
I know, it's tough to keep up, isn't it? And they're always seem to be busy, which is good.
Well, that classic BMW. 8 cars here this weekend with the Toby Grohovic-led Fast Track Racing team with support from Classic BMW. 4 on the GT4 class in our GTS class you'll see later today, and 4 here in the touring car category with this M235i Racing.
See Terry coming back at him again. You can see that Whitmer kind of defends, and he's being proactive here. If you react to the guy behind you, but Whitmer's basically picking that left side of the road. It looks like Terry gets alongside him, but then that BMW on the last lap anyway sort of like out-accelerates him right at the end. But it's pretty even this time. It's going to be the last of the late breakers. The Nissan seems a bit stronger into that brake zone. Nice job there by Terry. Great move.
Outside pass there under the brakes. Now see if Whitmer can do back the over-under, Cal, but is going to see if he's going to stick to the outside. It's hard to do in that tight portion of the course.
Well, you see Paul Terry is very conscious not exceeding the track limits on the exit of turn 12, but by doing so, Whitmer's got a good run here. This is a great little stadium section, as I call it, all the way between turns 12 through 15, which we're in right now, and then there's this triple apex of the carousel turn. Johann will be watching this and just seeing if he can figure out any weak link in their arsenal right now to go after those podium positions.
We saw him just cut that little inside apex there a little bit, Paul Terry did, and just got a warning from race control. That's his final warning on track limits, so he's going to have to be careful here next time by as he's trying to defend that position against Whitmer.
Nissan 1 and 2 right now, with Kozarov stretching the lead to 4.5 seconds. If I was him or if I was his team, I'd be saying just keep it right there. Gives him plenty of margin if he should encounter traffic later in the going to take his time through that, but don't abuse those tires. If we get a caution, get a reset, you got to have something to fight with at the end. If he is managing his tires and stretching the lead to that point, it's not good news for the rest of this field.
It's not. You can really see the different lines a few of these cars are taking, trying to make it wide, stay within those track limits, get the rotation on the car. Tony Rivera, you see him just a little glimpse back as he's trying to work his way back through the field after the early incident. He's up to the 8th position now.
Multi-car operations rear to now 4 cars underneath their tent, so they've got a lot of work going on this weekend, but got cars at the sharp end. They're doing an excellent job, led by Laura Tallman, of course, who owns that team.
Good shot here. Rivera. Tony Rivera down to the inside of Robert Nemkov, trying to make that pass.
Late close.
Got to get all over the binders there.
Not sure if that's his normal line in terms of turning in that earlier, whether that was a defensive move on Tony Rivera. Had a bit of a head of steam on him. Now they got on that straightaway between 11 and 12, and Tony moves to the inside.
And what is that rule, Cal, for the driver's tour is going to be watching this with the moving and the blocking?
Yeah, essentially you've just got to make the move first. If someone's starting to make a move, they come up on you and they jink to the other side and you close that gap. That's not on. So if you want to pick your line and you're going to pick the inside line all the way down to a corner, you're perfectly entitled to do that.
Got some good battles here back through our field now. As you look, there's Henry Schmidt, the number 87, right in the middle of the 02 of Brumman and the 27 of Clooney working their way up through the field. And Auto Technique, some different teams here. And Steve Cameron Racing. Henry Schmidt doing double duty, right, Cal?
Yeah, now he's also going to be running in the GTSA Sprint X race in a short while, actually. So it's a quick turnaround for some of these teams. But Great to see Jason Clooney back. Had a late call last weekend to run at Sebring and had a podium run there, so he's on a bit of a high at the moment.
Yeah, getting word that your 87, gentleman we were just talking about, Henry Schmidt, is your Optima Battery Best Start of the Race Award winner too, up 4 positions on the very first lap, so earning that great award. We appreciate the fine folks there at Optima Battery as well, always supporting the Best Start Award of the award here. They got a great Optima Battery fan zone set up here at Circuit of the Americas as well. A lot of cool stuff coming here at Circuit of the Americas.
They're certainly not resting on their laurels. I mean, talking to some of the circuit management this week, Jeff, you can see the changes and the new things that are being implemented. So they're really trying to utilize this incredible facility. They have a lot of events outside of motorsports, even in terms of rock concerts and everything that happen here on a regular basis. And but I think they're now really developing a lot more of their motorsports backbone as well with these driving experiences. They got a new Formula Americas, Formula 4 racing school that's about to be launched. And that kart track looks like a lot of fun. As I was driving out last night, there's some people that are just turning dust that are really having a lot of fun there. And it's full CIK rating, just under 3/4 of a mile, so that's pretty cool.
I'm going to have to go see if I can invite Calvin Fish out there, maybe add that to my resume if I could beat him. Well, the battle continues here with Henry Schmidt and the 0-2 of Mark Brumman. As they come down to turn number 10, a little quick apex shot down here to the hard braking zone of turn 11, and then on to the backstretch. We'll see if Mark can get a move here in that Auto Technique car, and he does. Henry Schmidt sort of looks like he kind of let him go, gave him the room.
Yeah, I think Drummond was just feeling him out and said, okay, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to have to take it. But he was really cutting that corner. I think it was turn 8. They spoke to all the drivers in the drivers' meeting this weekend and said, listen, we know you can cut the corner over there. We are not able to police it effectively for 100% of this race. So we're going to give you that one. And he took advantage of it a little bit.
Here's the gap from your leader, Vesco Kozarov, back to Paul Terry. You've seen it on the track over the time. It is exactly almost 4 seconds flat that he has over his teammate, Paul Terry. Carl Whitmer and Johan Swartz back in 3rd and 4th, respectively, trying to see if they can battle for that second position. That seems to be the battle right now for second, as Kozarov has a huge lead now here in TC with not quite halfway yet.
Curious to see what this lap time is, because on that last lap, Terry actually took a half a second out of what was a 4.5 second lead. It's now just down to 4 seconds even. So is Kozarov starting to lose the handle on the car a little bit. However, for Terry, he can't just focus on hitting his marks and looking at lap time. He's got to look in his rearview mirrors at the same time. Yeah, that gap is now down to 3.6 seconds. So it's about 9/10 of a second has been eaten out of that lead to Kozarov in these last 2 laps, Jeff.
And we did talk about that earlier, the draft playing hands to these guys needing that draft. Might we be seeing some of that with these cars staying nose to tail, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th?
Yeah, certainly possible. Typically, the draft is going to be more effective in terms of the guys immediately behind you. But if you're working really tight as a train, it can basically work for all 3 cars together, like you see on a super speedway. But I'd say the effect here at Circuit of the Americas may not be that dramatic, but even so, Terry's done a nice job. He runs a little bit wide there, just trying to set up that next right-hand corner.
That hurt his momentum a little bit as you see Whitmer trying to look onto the inside or the outside. Really hard to make a pass down here in the S's. So I think somebody's really going to have to make a mistake. Got to stay within track limits, too, onto the inside there. As you see, Whitmer, so he drove that front-wheel drive car nice and loose. He's got this BMW nice and loose also.
Yeah, and Schwartz looks pretty menacing there, too. And they are closing in on the leaders. Whitmer now looks to the inside, down into the brake zone once again. Oh, Terry's wide. He has missed the apex by a margin there. May lose 2nd, may lose 3rd on the run up to the stripe.
Side by side coming down the straight into turn number 12.
See what that Nissan can do. They look pretty even on the last little battle, but Nissan now moves to the front. Kozarov, the lead is dwindling as Whitman now goes to the inside. That Nissan has been strong in that brake zone all day long, but Terry's certainly pushing hard, Jeff, as we've seen. A couple of little mistakes here. Are the tires going away, or is he just pushing too hard and asking for too much?
Yeah, I got to think he's just pushing really, really hard. Looking at it, you can see him loose and snapping it and missing the apexes a little bit, running wide in some areas. I think he's trying all he can to stay in front of Whitmer, and he doesn't want to try too hard and make a huge mistake and lose 2 positions either.
No, Drift King is looking pretty stable there at the back. Johan is looking like he's the smoothest of the 3 right now. Really able to tuck his BMW tight into that carousel, runs a slightly different line through there, and then opens it up and really comes out with a lot of exit speed. A little bit of wheel hop there as he fully loads that left side suspension. Picks up that inside right through 18.
See those yellow gloves from Johann Swartz. You can see through the windshield and see him working that wheel. The car seems to be, like you said, Cal, nice and stable. We're checking that gap, and wow, Keselov opened it back up, 4.3 seconds. And that was all, I think, with that mistake we saw of Terry coming onto that backstretch out of turn number 11.
Well, it was, but when you look at the last lap time for Kozarov, he went a 2:27.3. Terry's best today is a 2:27.5, so I think Vesco maybe just giving those tires a two-lap cool down and then reminding everyone that he's in charge here today.
But Tony Rivera is right behind these cars, up to 5th place now, but he's still 7 seconds behind this group, so he's starting to recover after that earlier spin and contact with Jacob Roux. Jacob's worked his way back up to 17th, sort of stalled back there 1 lap down because of that drive-through penalty that he had to incur, so basically out of the race for your outside pole sitter.
Yeah, and looking at Rivera's times, he's run a 2:27.2, which is, I believe, the second fastest lap of the day to Kozarov, obviously, but he is marginally quicker than the guys who are running 2nd through 4th right now, the battle we're looking at right now on screen. But as you said, Jeff, a long way to catch up, over 7 seconds. Probably not going to happen without some kind of caution or something in the going.
Good shot of Carl Whitmer, one of the twins, actually. There's Kuno, and then Nick, and then Carl and Kurt. So that's Carl, and I think Kurt's starting to do go-karts and driving as well. So look at all 4 brothers. And here's your leader once again in that Reardon Racing Nissan 370Z, Vesco Kozarov. That 4.3 second lead. Nissan Nismo supporting that. Great for, once again, Rick Kulak giving our command to start engines.
What a competitor Vesco is. And a great home in Pirelli World Challenge. We see another side-by-side battle between the 02 and the 87. That's a battle for 11th position right now between Brumman and Schmidt.
They've been battling here most of the race, as been swapping some positions here. Brumman trying the outside move this time. Schmidt protecting down there to the inside. This is going to hurt his momentum as you try to do the over-under here and get on the outside, but that puts you in the bad part of the corner.
Oh, tried to deceive him there. You would think he would go to the left side, but this is fun. It's like a boxing match. You're just working each other over through this stadium section. It's pretty tight. Oh, Schmidt in there really deep. Thought he'd blown the entry there a little bit, but gathers it back up nicely.
We saw in the GT4 class, in his M4 GT4 in the GTS category, his teammate and driver coach, Gregory Leafouge, who was 2nd in the Touring Car Championship last year in his Steve Kamen racing machine, helping them. So they'll be running that M4 GT4 later on today that we'll see here live at worldchallenge.com. So Henry Schmidt, one of those drivers, along with your race leader, Vesco Kozarov, has to hop out of the TC car real quick and then go get their GTS machines coming right out.
You Brumman there. Lose the rear end momentarily there, getting on the power hard out of the final corner, turn 20. Henry Schmidt, owner of BMW of San Francisco, so majority of his racing is done in BMWs. Talking to Steve Cameron this weekend, he said Henry has a beautiful collection of vintage BMW race cars, including an M1 Pro car and stuff like that. So he's got all the toys in his garage. That's pretty cool.
Can't expect him to see in anything other than a BMW then with that M235i as well as his M4 GT4. Well, Paul Terry pulled away now from Carl Whitmer and Johann Swartz, starting to pressure. This is also 2 different teams. Rooster Hall Racing in that number 80 BMW. And you're looking at the top speeds of some of these cars. You can really see the fastest car on the track right now, the slowest top speed.
Good little drafting battle going on for the 3rd position. Johann Swartz starting to put the pressure on Whitmer. As you said, Terry has pulled away from this battle. He's found a sweet spot with his car and his tires once again. Just ran his fastest lap of the race at 2:27.4, which was nearly half a second quicker than our leader on that last lap. Can he maintain that same delta through the second half of this race as we approach the halfway mark?
Can Johann do anything here too? Maybe with halfway still be able to run down maybe Paul Terry for 2nd. I think it's Vesco's right now with the gap that he's got. We'll see what Paul Terry can do. He's got to maintain his pace in the race field here and make his car last. But Tony Rivera is still 7 seconds behind this group here, back in 5th. So battle for 3rd in that final podium spot right now between Carl Whitmer and Johann Swartz.
Schwartz is savvy. I mean, he's won a championship. He won the TCB championship back in 2015. And he may say, you know what, on this racetrack, the Nissan's a little bit better. What I need to do is be best in class, best of those BMWs, and try and pull some points on my main competition there, and then wait for the tracks where maybe the BMW has the advantage, and then score the big points that day.
And you look at Whitmer there, pulling a little to the inside. Now that's allowed because he was picking his position on the track.
Yeah, you are. As long as you make that move first, you can drive whatever part of the racetrack you want, as long as you keep that line and don't move around. Cannot react to the guy behind you. So typically if you get a little poor exit speed, you're just going to immediately go into that defensive mode, so you don't suddenly get the ire of the chief steward, the driver steward, Brian Till.
Joshua Foran in that Honda Civic Type R, brand new build and entry from Team HMA, Honda Manufacturing Alabama. So kind of a volunteer crew there getting that car built in their off time, working at that plant in Alabama.
Really hot little street car, that Civic Type R.
Getting a report there. You can see on Tony Rivera's, they said his front splitter is a little bit loose.
Maybe when he went for that ride, when he took the bump from Rude early in the going, he may have gone across the curbing. You can see it there oscillating there as he heads down towards the brake zone for turn 11. And on Tony said that you see those vents you were talking about, Jeff, that have really helped the overheating issues that they had with the Nissan throughout the course of the summer last year.
Yeah, got to make these cars last, and you start losing power, they start cutting timing. And what's that feel like in the car to have that splitter sitting there flapping?
It's going to be pretty dramatic inside the race car. You're going to be really feeling that all the way through the whole car, particularly through the steering. And your concern is, how bad is it going to get? Is that splitter going to suddenly come adrift and get under your front wheels when you need them? Look at Schwartz. He's really starting to put the pressure on Whitmer. I think his car's a little bit better. As I mentioned, Jeff, Schwartz seemed to really keep the car underneath him during the early stages of this race and try to manage those tires. Maybe that's coming into effect right now.
Looking at Darren Jorgensen back there, the number 66 BMW M235i. Side by side here as they come down here into turn at number 12. Let's get a replay and see if we can see what happened here. A little bump and run there, maybe?
Yeah, it was close, wasn't it, on a number of occasions. Then I think they're kind of married at the hip right there. No one wants to give it up. A little bit of argy-bargy early in the season, Jeff.
There it was. Got it in the first broadcast. All right. But yeah, Darren Jorgensen, another one of those drivers doing double duty. He'll be in the M4 GT4 as well. So see a lot of these drivers doing that. Mark Brumman dropping back now. Jorgensen able to get back around him.
Yeah, big supporter of the whole Whitmer Racing family, so it's great to see Darren out there having a good run here this afternoon. I think we need a little argy-bargy meter in the corner of the screen for some of the heavier battles.
A little sponsored segment there from Calvin Fish. Looking at Whitmer down through this S section. Got those big yellow curbs right there to the inside, and yeah, I've seen some cars going over them and some cars just completely avoiding them.
Yeah, I've seen some cars that have damaged their suspension and shock. You can really get a big, violent, high-speed shock to the suspension system, which will do damage. So the drivers are certainly not purposely hitting those. They're pretty abrupt. They're probably a little bit taller than a full-size coffee cup, but it's okay if you're unloaded, but if you hit it loaded with his, you're basically taking all of the droop out of the suspension system. That can be a problem.
You're seeing Whitmer there turn the wheel. You can see his white gloves and the yellow gloves of Johan. There is the gap as Paul Terry is down to 3.6 now, so 3.5 seconds to his teammate. And you got to think about, once you get to the back of your teammate. Reardon Racing, Vesco, you talked about Laura Tallman, sort of the team principals there at that team. Paul Terry's kind of the customer car, so how do you handle that when you get up to nose to tail, you start battling for the lead when you got your customer right behind you?
Carefully. You just hope you don't get into that moment where you have to really make the big decision, but he's a cool guy, Paul Terry. Based in Utah, which is a natural fit with that race team that are based there as well, ran the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Championship in 2017. So he's new to this car, but he's also run the Spec 350Z car in NASA for a number of years, so he's familiar with the Nissan platform.
Good battle here with that Tech Sport Racing Nissan 370Z. Steve Streamer running that car, brand new build for that team at Tech Sport Racing. You have Travis right behind him in his BMW, and then you got to go back here to that number 20 of Robert Nimkoff and then Jeff Rika in the Genesis Coupe. So it was a four-way battle here for the 6th position.
The Genesis there doesn't look quite as stable at turn into 19 as the BMW in front of him, but Jeff has really given it 1,000,000% as he always does. Slides it coming off a turn 20 onto that front straightaway. I have to wonder about his rear tires, what are going on there.
And Matt Travis started in that 16th position, did not get a qualifying time in his classic BMW. Now he's worked his way all the way up to that 7th position, trying to get 6th. So we have that VP Fuel Hard Charger of the Race Award, and I got to think he's listening. Oh, and Steve Streamer got a little wide there in turn 1. Not sure if there was a problem. I saw maybe the car bottomed out there. He saw a little bit of smoke, or
yes,
wheel rub maybe, but trying to
he's
protect
got no
now.
momentum right now, and the BMW right behind him does.
Close stuff here is Nimkoff, the team owner of Auto Technique Racing. 2 cars strong here this weekend.
Well, this racetrack will give you, you can offer you different lines and ways to attack the S's. Talking to some of the drivers, they said, you just try and set it up normally. That's an okay and efficient way to get through there. Then other guys just attack every corner as if it's its own corner. It's not going anywhere, and just deal with it, not worry so much about your exit speed. And that can be efficient in terms of lap time as well, in terms of the sector through the S's there.
Jeff Rika, that turbocharged Genesis Coupe, ran the V6 variant of this for quite a few years, then switched to the 4-cylinder turbo. There's a piece of part coming off the back of one of the cars there. Just could be a buildup of rubber if Johan Swartz trying everything he can to get around Whitmer.
He is. He's working him over. He hasn't got too forceful yet. He's keeping it nice and clean, not pushing it. I think he realizes that the top 2 positions are out of his hands today. Oh!
Not sure what happened there, but
down there in turn 11.
Oh, you can see the damage here. Let's take a look and see what happened here down here in turn number 11.
See it develop here. Jorgensen, pretty late move there. I don't think Schmidt had even seen him, even though his approach speed seemed to be a little bit off. So I'm not sure if Schmidt was kind of getting it together, and suddenly Jorgensen saw the door wide open and committed to the apex as Schmidt turned in. Either way, damaged race cars.
And another car caught up in that, the number 02 of Mark Brumman.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, no, and he got stuck in the gravel trap, is Jorgensen. So with only 12 minutes to go, yeah, he is buried in that gravel trap. He was just trying his hardest to get clear. As you see, the 67 of Schmidt, or 87 of Schmidt had pulled off as well. So all 3 cars that were involved all pulled off the track.
Yeah, 3 BMWs in trouble there, and the big question now for the stewards is that car in a safe place, or do we just keep a local caution period in that critical turn 11?
Yeah, we're 2.9 seconds is the gap now with Vesko Kozarov and Paul Terry. Paul, last lap, his best lap at a 2:27.367. He was almost a full second quicker than Kozarov the previous lap.
I think if Schwartz sees that car there, he may be thinking, are they going to go yellow? Can we get it cleaned up before the finish? So he may increase his pressure on Whitmer right now to try and get that track position should we go yellow and not see further green flag action. Just under 12 minutes on the board, and probably take at least that with the length of a caution lap here.
He's not going to be able to make a move down here because they will be under that local yellow for the car stopped there in the exit. This is one of the good passing zones down here.
Yeah, he needs to just set him up, just try and get a good draft down this long straightaway here between 11 and 12, and then try and think about making a move.
See a lot of debris there on the exit as well. It might be a concern with the race officials trying to make that call as well.
Whitmer again moving to the inside, middle of the road there. It's Kozarov. His lead is being threatened here by Terry. Whitmer and Schwartz continue to battle for that final podium position between the 2 BMWs. It's a great little battle, Jeff.
It really is. They're going nose to tail for that final and podium spot. Carl Whitmer trying everything he can to stay in front of the Drift King ace of Johan Swartz, coming down into turn number 14. Entering that little stadium section that Calvin likes so much, and it is full course yellow. That's just an unsafe position. I think it's more of you could probably get a safety truck there, get it moved, but all that debris through turn number 11 too.
Yeah, it's the debris, and with the length of this circuit and how much time it eats up on the clock with just over 10 minutes to go, it's going to be a real scramble here to see a green flag finish.
Well, now we'll have to see what happens with Paul Terry, because he was clearly the faster of the two 370s at the front of this field. And the restart here with Johann Schwartz. Now, Kalsarov will have the advantage when we do go back to green, and we should have plenty of time to get this cleaned up and get the car moved out of harm's way in the exit at turn number 7. But once you enter that acceleration zone, it's really Vesco's turn to go. And
yeah, and he's certainly capable of just lighting the fuse and getting things moving in a short amount of time. But it's all about now what sort of shape is everyone's tires in, and Rivera could be a player as well, as he's suddenly there. That gap that he thought he would not be able to close over the remaining distance in this race has suddenly been erased because of this caution period. So he could be a factor too. So for Johann Schwartz, he was just thinking about that final podium spot, and now he's got that bright red Nissan menacing in his mirrors as well.
And we saw the great start that Rivera got at the head of this field down to the inside, moving into second place. We'll have to see if he can get one of those magical starts again and make it a 5-car battle for the lead. Right behind him, it is Matt Travis, who once again started back in that 16th position, basically shotgun on the field with no qualifying time. He's worked his way up to 6th place as well, so might have a good shot at this.
Yeah, it's a total reset, and that's what we love about racing. We just don't know what is going to happen. Kozrov could have cooled his tires down and have the same advantage he had at the beginning, or whether the tires just passed their best and Terry's got the stronger Nissan, and Rivera there, can he leapfrog around those two BMWs and make it a Nissan 1, 2, 3?
Well, if it wasn't a sprint race before at 40 minutes with less than 10 minutes, it's going to be a full-out, all-out brawl sprint race now.
Yeah, this is good stuff. Just hopefully the safety crews can get out there and get that cleanup done quickly and efficiently, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of green flag action here before the checker.
I'll see, and got word from Austin Webb. He's watching our live stream at world-challenge.com. Want to give a good shout out to everybody that's watching all of our races worldwide at world-challenge.com. Appreciate everybody joining us here on the World Wide Web for Touring Car Round number 1, part of the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas here at Circuit of the Americas. Your leader in our touring car category, Vesco Kozarov. Paul Terry, his teammate, in the second of the Reardon Racing Nissan 370Zs. You got Carl Whitmer in the classic BMW M235i Racing in third. Johann Schwartz in the number 80 Rooster Hall Racing West Virginia University BMW in fourth. And Tony Rivera rounds out your top 5 in his SPL Parts Brass Monkey Racing Nissan 370Z in fifth.
Hopefully with a quick turnaround. Obviously 2 rounds of each of our Pirelli World Challenge Championship classes competing here this weekend, so a lot of work for some of these teams to get those cars fixed overnight and be ready for action tomorrow.
Got our classic BMW pace car. It's going to be our safety car now, as it not pacing the field anymore, just puts them under a safety run. Want to give a huge thank you to Classic BMW for providing this beautiful M3 GTS chassis BMW, and then our medical vehicle with the BMW X5. Great dealership out in Plano, Texas. Real beautiful, big dealership they built out there now. I think they got 86 service bays or something like that. I got a chance to go visit Toby Grova gave me the tour. They have a separate dedicated portion of the shop where they run fast track racing out of, and a pretty cool place.
That's amazing. Some of these new dealerships and service bays are just incredible. Fastest laps today will determine the grid for tomorrow. As we mentioned earlier, Kozarov has the fast lap right now. Tony Rivera would line up alongside him for the start tomorrow, unless anyone cuts some fast laps here in the time remaining. And then I think it would be Terry and Schwartz on the second row, with Whitmer probably rounding out the top 5 in terms of fast times for the day. But we've got a little bit of a cool down period. Maybe someone can find the sweet spot in the tire. Fuel load's a little bit lighter. These Pirelli P0s are renowned for performing so well throughout the duration of these events. So this could be a prime time to actually lay down a fast lap, maybe catch a draft from a competitor in front of you, and put in a slightly faster lap than you've achieved so far.
See a few of the pebbles and the rocks falling out of the side and back of that number 66 machine of Darren Jorgensen. His lights are still on our pace car, so we're going to have to do one more lap here. Hopefully now they got that car cleared, we should be able to go back under green, hopefully next time by, with about 4 minutes to go once they get the green. Basically be a green, a white flag, and then a checkered flag if they are able to go back green this next time by.
Yeah, it's going to be a short sprint because if you think about it, typically a pace lap is about half the speed and you're a 2-minute plus lap here at green, so it's going to be awfully tight here and might need to get that pace car to hustle a little bit and try and at least allow these guys to see a green-white checker. Like the 66 car is in one of the safe havens, so we should be good to go. Track should be good to go. Just got to hustle these cars around here, but we should be good. But I think it will only be one lap to go, though, Jeff.
Yeah, going green next time by. We have seen that before where they do the green and the white flag at the same time. It just all depends on where they catch the line on the time. It is a 40-minute race, and there's really not time built into the schedule, so to speak, with all the different support races and all 7 categories of Pro World Challenge racing here this weekend to extend that time and give the time to make up.
Question is, are we going to see any argy-bargy? What do you think on this restart?
Add another click to the argy-bargy meter. There we go. If you're tracking home, I got a word from Jason Ott watching there. A few other people all tuning in, so start doing their argy-bargy here. Steve Bottom watching as well. Has a 370Z, needs to come out here and run touring car. His lights are out. You can see the pace car did pick up that pace a little bit as they're going down there into turn number 11 now.
Well, you're going to think that someone's either going to get a run to the inside on the climb up the hill to turn 1, or Kozrov is going to protect. And what that means is you're going into that corner. The tyres aren't up to full temperature. They've had a chance to cool off, Jeff, but that means they're not going to have the prime spot, the sweet spot in terms of grip. So if you cut that corner too acute, suddenly you're going to be scrambling. Maybe someone's going to make a move as you take the run down at the S's. So lots to look out for here. See Terry playing some games here. Looks like he's going to create a little bit of a gap. Maybe he's just going to try and run hard here through a couple of corners, try and get those tyre temps back up, get a feel for what his race car is like before we see the green flag.
Seeing that classic BMW leading the field down here. And also, Cal, you know, even if you're mid-pack or up into the front, you can see that front bumper on Tony Rivera really shaking here, even under the low speed. We'll see if that can last all race long for about 3.5 minutes to go here before they get the green flag. If there is an incident and they do full course yellow, that's really going to end the race. So they may let him stay green to the line, or it could be full course yellow. Wherever you line up, that's where you're going to finish.
Yeah, and guys know this. And I think for Tony Rivera, probably the section of the racetrack is down through the S's, the high-speed, constant change of direction is where if he's losing downforce on the front of that car, that'll be affecting him the most. So if he can make a move at this initial start, then he may be holding up the rest of the pack as we head through that section of the racetrack.
Coming through turn 17 and 18 there. Pace car is going to accelerate away as the cars enter our acceleration zone, and Paul Terry does not want Vesco to get away from him. Whitmer and Johan Swartz are going to try to be right on the back bumper here into turn number 19.
Kozrov goes. He goes through 19. Terry's relatively close to him, so he managed that quite well. 2 BMWs close together. Rivera's been dropped here a little bit.
Oh, his nose to tail now, waiting for that green flag still to come out. They're already up to speed, though, once he entered that acceleration zone. So Rivera is going to go protect against Matt Travis as they draft down the front stretch.
Yeah, Travis has got a run on Rivera, but up front, Kozrov had a nice gap there. It should make it manageable going into that first corner. He can hit his marks. Rivera there protects the inside. Travis is putting the pressure on. Is Whitmer in third, Schwartz in fourth.
Using every bit of edge of that racetrack on the exit of turn number 1 if they could stay legal here, but nice little 2-car gap between our top 5 cars as they start to spread out.
Pretty clean here. I expected a little bit more action, Jeff, but Kozrov managed that restart perfectly. Terry went with him. Now he's a little bit wide. He's in the marbles. You can see them flying there as he heads down through the S's. Whitmer closes in.
Still got to get the pressures built up and get those temperatures back in these Pirelli P0 tires as they're coming down here through turn number 8. You got turn number 9 quickly, and then down into turn 10 on this diving left-hander flat out there. You're not going to hit the brakes into the hard braking zone.
Schwartz has got to run. He's looking at the inside as they go down into the brake zone. How hard will he push it? Tucks back to the outside, nearly clips the rear bumper on Whitmer. Now he goes to the outside, loses the front end a little bit as they try and get on the power.
He tried to go for the under, tried to go back on the over when Whitmer was protecting. Didn't get the run, but didn't lose that much momentum either, Cal, as he's able to stay right with them.
Kozrov, just magic here in this start and restart. Has got the power down. Terry's had a brilliant run here. BMW's battling out for third. Rivera under attack. from Travis behind, but he looks comfortable sitting there in the 5th position.
And the battle still is on for that final podium spot against Whitmer and Schwartz. So far, Whitmer's been able to hold off Schwartz. Johan will be desperate to get around him. Floats it down in the braking zone right on that back bumper of Whitmer. Whitmer a little sideways there as he's coming into the stadium section here. Turn number 12.
Right here as we look to the inside. Johan doesn't think about it. Tucked back to the outside. That's tough to get the run done here, but he runs that tight line through the carousel. Watch for Schwartz to really tuck it in tight through here. Tucks it in, can't do anything with it.
18 seconds to go on the clock. We will be getting the white flag this time by for your race leader, Vesko
Schwartz to the inside. He makes the move down to the apex. Can't quite get it done.
Bounced over that curb. Oh, and way wide there. That's hopefully that's not going to deem an advantage for Whitmer. I think he was just trying everything he could to survive there in turn number 9, exceeding those track limits.
Schwartz a run off, but here we go. Kozarov takes the victory from Terry, close behind. Rivera hangs on for a top 5.
Yeah, sorry about that. There was a checkered flag to end our session there, so Kozarov getting the win. Terry 2nd, Whitmer able to hold on to that 3rd place, and Johan Schwartz in 4th, and Tony Rivera able to hold on to that 5th place. Sorry about that there, folks watching live. We got word that it was going to be a white flag, and they decided to save time there and get that checkered flag, so we were able to at least end this race. But Vesko Kozarov getting the win. It's a Nissan 1-2 with his teammate Paul Terry right behind him. And let's see if we can just get a look here at how they ended up finishing here coming out of turn number 20.
And that start-finish line, well, as the finish line is different to the start line, should I say. Start line's much further down the straightaway, and then you see a really close pack battle there for 3rd position all the way back through 7th.
Good 3-wide battle back there for 8th between Jeff Rika. Looks like Nemkov was able to get it over Clooney as well.
Well, that was a great start to the year, mate.
Yeah, it was. There's Vesko Kozarov
for these
getting
touring
the
car
win.
boys.
Paul Terry once again in 2nd, and Carl Whitmer in 3rd. But Vesko in that rear-end racing team doing a superb job leading flag to flag. Was only really challenged at the very beginning by Tony Rivera. And with that spin that he had early, with that earlier contact, worked his way back up to 5th. You can see the front bumper on Rivera's car still bouncing.
Should be a threat tomorrow, though. They get that splitter fixed up. He's got the 2nd fastest race lap. He should start on the front row alongside Kozarov. And he may have enough pace. And tell you what, Terry came on strong, though, in the course of this race today. I think with a slightly better start and a little bit closer to Kozarov. The key is Kozarov, just on the opening laps. He just seems to have the pace over everyone by a substantial margin.
So seeing that rear-end racing team, and you talk about 4 cars strong now, 1st and 2nd now. I don't think it's going to be much of a podium celebration here for Vesko Kozarov because he's got a race coming up next with that M4 GT4.
It's fun though, right? What beats finishing first, chance to go out and do it again moments later.
And your finishing order there, once you mentioned Vesko Kozarov in his Nissan 370 getting the win. His teammate Paul Terry in 2nd in the rear-end racing 370Zs. It's Carl Whitmer, the best of the BMWs in the M235i Racing from Classic BMW in 3rd. Johan Schwartz in his West Virginia University Rooster Hall Racing BMW in 4th. Tony Rivera in 5th in his 370Z. Rounding out your top 10, Matt Travis in 6th. Steve Strimmer in 7th. Robert Nemkov 8th. Jeff Rika in 9th. And Jason Clooney rounds out your top 10 here in the touring cars. You can just see this great facility here at Circuit of the Americas. There's that tower. 431 steps to the top, and the elevator is not working.
I saw you done your laps this morning, Jeff. I was impressed.
Yeah, I'm trying to lose some weight here, so we'll see. That was hard to go up to that tower, not going to lie. But just this great facility, like we mentioned at the top of the show, Cal, with all the different things they've done now, the karting track, the improvements, the driving school, great to have.
Yeah, it's first class every step of the way. And first class drive by this man. They'll be pumped up.
With the win. Let's wait for him to get his helmet off. Great job he did out there. Conditions were absolutely perfect. To me, and from our perspective, he drove in a perfect race. Vesko, great job, my friend. There's the Pride hat. Congratulations. We talked a little bit before the race today. Amazing job. Congratulations on round 1.
Thank you very much. What a job from the guys. Everybody did rear-end racing. spot on cars. 1-2, Paul Terry, he murdered it.
Are you ready to do another race there, buddy? You look so comfortable out there. We'd like to see you back again soon.
Starting now, I'm a little bummed because we missed the pole for the GTS race by a couple of tenths. We're using the session as a setup session, so again, fantastic job to the guys at Reardon for giving me such a good car in both races.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Vasco. He's doing double duty today, so he's going to head out. We're going to head up to the podium, and then he's going to run right to that GTS car. Back to you guys.
Well, thanks to Gino Carini joining us down on pit lane this season for our touring car class. And it was Vesko Kozarov getting the win. And his teammate Paul Terry there in second place. So I want to give a huge thank you to them.
Johann Schwartz got the Hard Charger Award, up 2 spots to the 4th position. And it looked like there's going to be a little bit more there. And a great battle with Whitmer for the majority of this motor race.
Yeah, I want to give a huge thank you to VP Racing Fuel, of course, the official Fuel Pro World Challenge, doing our Hard Charger of the Race Award. Well, that does conclude round number 1 for the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car. First season is in the books for our TC categories for the first race here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas here at Circuit of the Americas. Thanks for everyone joining us here live at world-challenge.com. For Gino Carini, Calvin Fish, I'm Jeff Lepper. Join us again here later on today and all weekend long at world-challenge.com. Well, welcome everyone here to world-challenge.com for our live coverage of the inaugural round for the GTS Sprint X Championship for our 2016 season here for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas at Circuit of the Americas. I'm Jeff Lepper, joined by Calvin Fish. We'll have Ryan Marine down on pit lane a little bit later. But Calvin, GTS category, GT4 homologated cars, this class has blown up.
It's exploded, 37 cars on the grid. And just a wonderful variety of different manufacturers are represented here this weekend and throughout the course of our championship season as well. And as you mentioned, Sprint X format being utilized as well, which means after 25 minutes, you have a 10-minute window to make a mandatory pit stop. However, driver changes in GTS are not mandatory. So effectively, some guys are electing to go it alone. So they'll basically sit on pit lane. And the way the pit lane delta, the amount of time that you need to spend a pit lane, is calculated, is essentially a 45-second driver change or working on the car opportunity, and then plus the pit lane delta, which is at 32 seconds. So that means the total time that you come into pit lane, hit that timing loop to pit out, needs to be not less than 77 seconds. You can be more than that, but you're just losing time in the competition.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be more than that, and they'll be the clock. You'll be able to see if they're too fast or too slow and where you lose those times from the time that you enter pit lane to exit at that 77 mark. A change in the tire rule as well. Traditionally in Pirelli World Challenge, you would start the race on the tires you qualify on. Not so anymore.
Yes, essentially you get given 3 sets plus a carryover set from a previous race weekend. So 4 effectively sets of tires to use, and you can use them how you want. So it's really down to the teams to strategize around that. In some cases, I'm not sure we saw anyone do it today, but I believe it's still possible to actually run 2 sets of tires in qualifying. Your first set times will be disallowed at that point, and then just calculated on the remaining time in the session. But lots of different strategies, and I think effectively most teams are looking to try and utilize those 3 sets, with a set for qualifying and a set for each race.
Well, looking at some of the grids too, this is just a who's who in Pirelli World Challenge competition. James Sofronis, your past GTA champion last season. Toby Grahovic, your past touring car champion, doing double duty. Tony Gaples, Lawson Aschenbach, Scott Maxwell, Jade Buford. The names that you have going through this list of Derek DeBoer, Andy Pilgrim now returning back to Pirelli World Challenge competition, Cal.
Yeah, it's great to see Andy back on the grid, a long-time Cadillac and GM driver, and he's going to be joining Lawson Aschenbach, our champion from last year, and swept the opening rounds at St. Petersburg. So a great start to his season campaign. But I think maybe Andy's qualifying run was maybe the biggest surprise of everyone in qualifying here this morning. He lines up 20th on the grid, several spots behind Tony Gaples, who was in the sister number 11 Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro. So a lot of work to do, but he's got the experience. He's just got to be really careful and patient, maybe wait for a reset, and just try and turn the car over to be a healthy race car to Lawson Aschenbach to bring it home. No tire changes allowed in GTS Sprint X format. If there's a damaged tire, you're allowed to do a tire change, but you can't just throw some fresh rubber at it halfway through.
So come into the pit stop, driver change only, check the car visually, maybe clean the windshield a little bit, and you're back underway. Speaking of that single driver format, it was a single driver that we actually have on the pole in our Pro-Am category, the number 69 Racers Ed Motorsports Cinar 1 Fram Autolite Protein Water sponsor car. And this is a driver, per the rules, based on his silver rating, he has to run an extra 2.5% of weight as well.
Yeah, if you're a silver driver going it alone, you have to run 2.5% of weight. If there's 3 cars, I believe, that have a bronze-rated driver. Andy Pilgrim is one. I think the Jade Buford, Scott Maxwell, and the Shane Lewis, Gar Robinson entries, they all have to run that 2.5% of weight, which is a lot. It's like 80, 90 pounds, depending on the starting weight of your car. So that's a lot of time. I mean, it effectively, in terms of what it costs you in lap time, and it's not like you can take it out when that driver gets out. It stays in the race car, so it's going to affect Lawson Aschenbach and Jade Buford and, Gar Robinson when they jump in, so it's going to affect the whole car. And that's probably worth a good half to 3/4 of a second around this racetrack in terms of what it's going to cost you in lap time.
It's going to hurt you in tire wear later on, too, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, tire degradation is always a factor as hard as you run these races. And a little bit of weight, you're just putting a lot more stress on everything, particularly stopping the race car and certainly cornering loads as well. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out throughout the course of this 60-minute race, 60 minutes for Sprint X competition.
Well, your GTS AM pole winner, Vesco Kozarov and Ace Robbie in their rear-end racing Audi R8 LMS GT4. We just saw the touring car race winner today, Vesco Kozarov, so doing double duty, finishes his podium celebration for getting getting that win, and he has to go step in this car starting third.
Yeah, he's warmed up and he's fired up. Getting out, I mean, rather than sort of like celebrate the victory in touring car, he's more angry at himself for not having pole position for this race. So you have to think that he's going to probably try and put that right at the beginning.
Well, to get this race started, let's get down to Ryan Marine for our command to start engines.
Race fans, it is time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here with us from Classic BMW is Eric Moss to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Way to go there for Eric Moss. We talk about that classic BMW. Got a chance to tour that facility there in Plano, Texas. Thank you so much for him to give that command. Also providing our pace car, that beautiful M3 GTS. You see our medical vehicle parked off there just to the right, that BMW X5. So give the command there as we get ready to start our GTS Sprint X competition race here at Circuit of the Americas. See a good field rolling out here. I don't think young Harry Gottzecker was supposed to be leaving there, but there's that Reardon Racing Audi Stance sponsored car, the Racer Inc. Mustang. There's a good story of Nate Stacey and Dean Martin. Of course, Nate Stacey starting his 5th year of competition here in Pirelli World Challenge and just turned 18. So that tells you how long he's been doing this, and got a victory last week in a Mustang. Comes here this week with his teammate and team owner, Dean Martin.
Yeah, Dean's been his mentor whilst he's been running at the with the core team, so they're going to be very, very strong here today. They could, can they win? Well, I think they have an equal chance for anyone else on this grid. I mean, Gottzacker's going to be tough. I mean, he got that little bit of weight, but that's seen as a pretty lightweight car anyway, so he's going to be there, and he doesn't have to get warmed up. He doesn't have to get in a rhythm. He's just going to stop for 45 seconds, take off again, and just resume his race. But I think the start will be key. We've seen Harry at a pole position many times here. Real great young talent, 18 years old, lives not that far away from this circuit here in Texas. But getting that first victory is always a tough nut to crack.
Well, 37 cars officially set to take the green flag here. Looking at least that's how many took qualifying times. I believe we had 38 to start with, and Jeff Courtney not able to make the race here today. Looking at some of our other AM categories, the BMW M4 GT4 of Classic BMW, Toby Grahovic and Chris Omak, they're going to be taking the green 2nd place in our GTM category, 8th overall, and Aurora Strauss, Al Carter. Good story there with Aurora Strauss in that number 36 ST Racing BMW M4 GT4.
Yeah, she's a great talent, 18 years old, real poise, savvy, smart young woman, and she's quick in a race car as well. She's being mentored by Nick Longy, and they've got a great little team there, teaming up with ST Racing this year. I think she's going to be a real factor this weekend. Al Carter can get the job done as her co-driver.
I get word from race control. It appears the young Nate Stacey going to get a chance to wave the green flag to start off the group here.
That could be unique if he can wave the green and maybe take the checker.
That would be cool. That will
First time in racing, I would say.
We will watch that going on, but Nate doing a great job within the series, does a lot of the PA calling on the GT races here at the track, steps into the booth and helps out. Just a great young man there in that Racer Inc. Core Motorsports Mustang GT4. As coming down here into turn at number 12, trying to get some heat into these Pirelli P0 tires. There's the Scott Maxwell and the number 55 PF Racing. 3 cars strong here from PF Racing in that Pwc family is what the PF stands for. Racing machine. His dad, JR, and James Pwc also racing here this weekend.
Yeah, great support from Multimatic Racing. They've got Jay O'Connell, who's one of the technical guys there. A long time with the Rahal BMW team, has now moved over to Multimatic and is there advising the team, and obviously with the support along comes with it someone like Scott Maxwell. He's kind of a Multimatic factory guy, and he's going to be jumping in here to try and get a strong result for the team here this weekend.
There's a good shot of the team principal there, that Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro GT4R. Tony Gaples teamed up this time with Michael Cooper, won the championship in the GTS category in that car. So good to see Tony Gaples and Michael Cooper teamed up together.
Awesome qualifying result. Top 10, that is something else. Tony's really on top of it this year. big fitness program. I think he's lost about 40 pounds since the start of last season. Started to lose a little bit of weight during the course of the 2017 season. He comes back, looks like a different guy, and what a qualifying run for him. He's always a great racer.
Yeah, half of a Tony, really. You see him standing around here as they come out of turn number 19, down here into turn number 20, waiting for that green flag. Now, the green flag is further down the front stretch. The checkered flag will end right there where you see that white line across the track, so they got to wait a little while before we go green, Cal.
Kozarov in the third spot in the Audi. He'll be menacing, but remember, he's got to adjust to this different race car from the touring car that he took the checkered flag in.
And there is Nate Stacey from that Core Motorsports Mustang giving that green flag. Wow, all the way down to the inside. Damage
Hedlund, I think, is in trouble there. Right front corner on the Flying Lizard Audi. Contact with the BMW that goes bouncing to the inside.
I believe that was the Epic Motorsports car there. Mike Hedlund just trying all he can to get to the outside. No steering in that Audi.
Oh, that's a shame. He had a strong run at St. Petersburg. I think he was second in points coming in here this weekend. And he's going to be parked there.
That Audi R8 LMS from Flying Lizard Motorsports. And let's see if we can get a look here kind of at the middle of your screen there.
The BMW just not looking, has a run on the 51 Panos and just takes out Mike Hedlund.
Yeah, I think that's Randy Mueller behind the wheel of that Epic Motorsports BMW M4 GT4, the Patriot Lending car. There it is, the number 3.
Yeah, that's a shame because he had a strong run on the Panos, certainly legit to go for the move, but Hedlund had already got a run to the inside as things settling down at the front. Gottsacker from the pole has the lead. Kozarov up to second early, now under pressure from Maxwell.
Maxwell going to get that draft to see if Dean Martin can come in behind the Mustangs. They can work together to get back around that Audi. Gottsacker checking out down the straightaway down into turn number 12 as they go back full course yellow. See a lot of cars waving back, weaving back and forth. So there's a flash of the lights from Kozarov. Full course yellow with the damage from Hedlund, and he's stopped up there in turn number 1. We really have no choice but to go full course.
Yeah, I mean, with the parked Audi up in the turn 1 runoff area, and this one is not in a safe position either. Just a regroup here. That's a shame because there's plenty of space here. There really shouldn't be need for contact if you just got your eyes about you in terms of where the other competitors are, and he just missed the Hedlund and made a move to the inside.
Yeah, great to see an Audi in that traditional Flying Lizard colors. Also to see the Porsche there. And watching all the cars fanning through here. Let's get a replay there as you see Mueller starting to move his way over Hedlund. Never dipped the nose either, so I don't think he even saw him coming either. You try to look for the front to see if that dipped down as everybody fans out down the straightaway, both trying to get around him and trying to get themselves into turn and through turn number 1.
Good job by everyone else in avoiding there. I think it was Merzon there to the outside, just squeaks through in the case of Audi.
You saw Cameron Lawrence and Jorgensen there. We just saw in our TC race battle get through there as well, the number 113 BMW.
The problem when you have a problem early, Jeff, as you know, qualifying for race 2 is set by your fastest lap of race 1. So if you go out without a representative time like Hedlund here, not only does it mean today is ruined, but you're going to be starting from the back tomorrow. It digs a big hole for your weekend.
And one of the advantages, too, with this being the very first lap, though, that Flying Lizard team will be really hoping they can get that car back quickly. Maybe they can get it fixed. The damage is not too bad, and he can try to go out and get a lap. But I think with that huge of a hit against the wall and being sandwiched by the BMW, his race might be done today.
Yeah, we saw the damage to the right side front. See what else there is, and the real key is where do they tow it to, whether they get it back to the paddock, whether the Flying Lizard team led by Jim Bell can go to work or not. And the other thing is you got to do 50% of the race or even score any points, so you don't even get last place points at this stage of the game unless you are able to achieve 50% of the laps of the leader. What it's also going to do is going to eat away on that clock. Remember, as early as 25 minutes in, you can come in and get your driver change done. And essentially, the parameters were that your dedicated amateur driver had to qualify. And if you go by your normal strategy, you want to get your fast guy in as fast as possible. So you would think once that 25-minute window hits, you can stay out there for another 10 minutes, but you're eating up the clock in terms of getting your fast guy in there and laying down slightly faster lap times.
Even a new rule change for this season, too, to clarify that before they would put up a flag at the 25-minute mark and you had to pass through the start-finish line. Now, the second it's 25 minutes, you can duck in the pits. You can pretty much see maybe a top 10 car, top 20 car be the first car to pit.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be safe. You don't want to cut it too tight, but certainly it's not inconceivable to see the guys running in last place be the first car to pit, whereas before the leader was kind of protected by everyone having to see that flag on the start-finish line, and then the next lap you could come in if you chose to, but right now, as soon as the clock hits 25 minutes, everyone is free to pit.
Well, Jade Buford, Scott Maxwell there, some of the great teams we see. Morello Racing in that Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. Aurora Strauss there made a good start. Drew Stavely, he swept both of the races in the GTS AM category at St. Petersburg 2 short weeks ago. He's another driver in that Ginetta G55, 12th overall right now, going to be doing the race by himself. So good to see from the Ian Lacey racing team.
That's a great little team. Love Ian, he was a good racer himself way back when, and has formed a great team and got some great people on board, and just give it 1,000,000%. Stavely, as we've said, swept the GTSA category at St. Petersburg.
There is 2 categories here racing. It's basically a Pro-Am category, and then we also have the Am category. So you put your Pro in, it could be a gold, a silver, and then your Am being the bronze to be able to run in this. And if you're a silver, you have to add the extra weight. If you're a bronze, you can still do it by yourself. So we'll get our heads around the rules, and fans alike. And it's a good shot of Mark Clennon in that Premier copier, McLaren 570 GT4 was your Optima battery best start of the race award winner, picking up 7 positions on the first lap. So didn't have the qualifying that he was looking for, and was able to climb up 7 positions for him.
When we talk about those driver changes, you're going to see names like Lawson Archibald, who leads this championship, Ian James, who went on a tear last year with numerous wins in that Panos Avezzano, but also guys like Colin Brown, who's joining George Kurtz here this for the Sprint X Championship season. And Michael Cooper is back in GTS competition. He's won here at Circuit of the Americas before for the team, and he's teamed up with Tony Gaples, who had that strong qualifying run, strong start to this race. Look for Michael Cooper to be a real factor here at the checkered flag this afternoon.
Take a look here at a replay kind of everything that happened here at the start. They get the green flag, start to fan out. You see Randy Bueller and his BMW start going over, sandwiches Mike Headland up against that wall as they come up into turn 1, Cal.
Yeah, he just had the perfect start, had a run on Kurtz, flicks to the inside, went to the inside of a BMW, and just took out Mike Headland, quite honestly. So I know that Mike is going to be really frustrated, because he is really a championship contender for the GTSA division this year. And as I said, it's going to be a big hole in the points unless they can get a fix done. No points today and starting at the back tomorrow. Should be able to fix it, no problem, for tomorrow, but not the start he was looking for.
You can see Randy Bueller's BMW on the back of the roll truck there, the Flying Lizard Audi on the back of the truck there. So both those cars can get cleared off here pretty quick. We're only about 52 minutes have left in this race, so still plenty of time to go, and we're waiting for those pit stops. Between 25 and 35 minutes, you have to have your pit stop and your driver change done if you are changing drivers. Going to be exciting times when we come down to pit lane.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Harry Gottsecker will just be sitting there, maybe grab a drink of water.
Yeah,
make
latte.
sure the belts are still tight. Grab a little latte. See Tony Gables coming through. Good run for him. He's moved up 1 position into 9th. Preston Calvert doing a superb job in his Panos this season. Had some bad luck at St. Petersburg, was involved in an incident. They had electrical problems in both of those Panos, and doing a job here running by himself in his Panos, sitting 14th overall.
About 16 minutes from that pit lane window opening. Lights are out.
Yep, lights are off on that BMW pace car.
This is perfect for Pwc Cota Sat. He's had a good start. He's up to second, but now he's got into the rhythm of that car. And even though he's driven it yesterday and certainly in qualifying this morning, it's a little bit different when you jump out that TC car and jump into this GT4 machine. It does take a little bit of adapting to. He's had a chance to get into the groove, get into the rhythm. He'll be very strong here at the start, but Gottsacker looked awfully racy at the beginning.
One of the guys you got to watch out for is that 5th position, that Morello Racing machine of Matthew Fosnot. He was your 2017 Pirelli World Challenge TCA champion in a Mazda MX-5. So switching over to this new Mercedes from Morello Racing and doing a good job, doing double duty as well. We'll see him later on in the TCR category with Morello Racing in one of his Audi RS3s.
So adjustment for him as well, go from a rear-wheel drive to a front-wheel drive. So there's a lot going on. These drivers are certainly very busy here on these multi-class weekends. Keegan there, starting for Ian James. Ian didn't get his campaign off to the start he was looking for at St. Petersburg, but I think they're going to be a real threat for the championship. Car has now been over to Paul Ricard and gone through the homologation process for the GT4 spec. And they're pretty close to getting the final papers on that, I believe.
Well, Harry Gottzecker, the pace car lights are out. It accelerates to pit lane. It is his, as Vesko Kozarov did in the touring car race yesterday, his choice on when he wants to go once he enters that acceleration zone.
Watch for the two veterans behind these two as well. We've got Maxwell and Dean Martin, those big throaty V8s right behind them.
Oh, Harry Gottzecker doing a good job in that Sin R1, using its weight to accelerate out of turn number 20. Waiting for that green flag here as they come down. He's going to pull to the inside to protect a little bit. Green flag as we're back underway with GTS here at Circuit of the Americas.
Nicely timed there by Harry Gottzecker. Protects to the inside. Look at Kozarov, sweeps out wide. See where he is as he exits this corner. Can he time it perfectly? No, he doesn't. He leaves the door open for Maxwell. Maxwell gets a run. But Kozarov goes for the lead. It's tight right there.
Down to the inside, but the momentum that Gottzecker had as he carried through as we're tunneled up here. Looks like that's Mark Keegan in the number 50 Panos. He shares with the engine. Oh, and there is a major contact. I believe that was Lisa Sobey. Yeah, Soba. Oh, and that McLaren car he shares with Andy Lee, and there's just turns the corner and right in front. Let's see if we can see what spun the Panos.
He lost it by himself. I didn't see any contact. It looked like he got lucky for a while, and then suddenly that McLaren was blinded momentarily and just had nowhere to, see the 22 car take sudden evasive action, and he was left with nowhere to go.
I believe that was Marco Radicic in the 22 BMW movement, but I saw damage to Andy Pilgrim in that Chevy Camaro, and I got to think your championship leader in the GTS Pro category, Lawson Aschenbach, his teammate. We'll see how heavily damaged that Camaro is, but that was definitely a good shot that Andy Pilgrim gave to the car in front of him. Saw that on the replay, so we'll monitor that.
And again, this is just eating into that clock. We're now 12.5 minutes into this race. And this is not what Tom Milner and everyone leading that Panos Racing team were looking for to see their championship charge car, the 50 machine. Ian James just had such a stunning year last year when he just went on a march mid-season and really took it after Lawson Aschenbach. 6 wins. And definitely one of the favorites coming into this year.
Oh, you can see just the litter of carbon fiber and body work there on the exit of turn number 1. So it's going to take a significant cleanup to get those cars clean. Harry Gottzecker did a good job on that start, protected down to the inside. Vesko Kozarov trying to see if, like you said, Cal, doing that over-under, sweeping way wide to try to get under there. But Harry, just a young man, doing a superb job protecting that inside on the exit of 1.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence. He's a really smart young man, and he's been learning the trade over the last 2 or 3 seasons, getting the confidence with his pace and the pole positions, and now he's got to just manage this race. Again, it's going to be a little bit strange to see him make that mandatory pit stop, and effectively nothing has to happen. He just sit still, take a break, and look at the clock, and it'll be a lot easier for them to manage that 45-second sit still period, and then the overall 77 seconds that you've got to burn on pit lane.
Looks like the damage to Andy Pilgrim so far has not caused any significant there. The car's still running around on the track with Pilgrim back in 18th. I saw Jason Bell, I think, was who he made contact with, so I'll have to watch those 2 vehicles to make sure, because that could have potential in the points championship here with our overall leader, Lawson Aschenbach, sweeping both rounds in the overall category in the GT Pro at St. Petersburg, Florida. A separate AM championship taking place for your leader in the AM category right now, Vesko Kozarov, and his teammate, Ace Robbie.
The cloud cover is burning off a little bit. Brighter skies there. Ambient temp right now is about 76, supposed to climb into the low to mid 80s by the end of the afternoon. And this can change things. You get that sun coming through, affect the track temperature a little bit.
I see Dean Martin pulling off over there. Not sure if he was just trying to stay out of the way of all the debris, keeping it really tight coming up the hill. Hopefully he's not having a problem. Does not look like it. Back there in that 4th position. Matthew Foss not just doing a superb job. Justin Pistatel was one of his driver coaches, and they got to run together at Daytona in the Audi RS3 LMS, doing the RS3 in the TCR category by himself. Teamed this weekend with Christian Smapjack. And Christian returns to racing as well, been a long-time competitor.
Yeah, he's a good guy, though. He was kind of the super sub in another championship for the past few years, and always seems to be able to step up to the plate, putting really fast lap times. Really race savvy as well, so I think Matt's got a great teammate there, Shimshak.
Well, let's take a quick look here and see, Cal. I think there was no contact that we saw. Let's see if we can just see if he just lose it on his own there.
Yeah, I think you see the 36 car of Aurora Strauss a little bit ahead of Matt, and he just loses the rear end there, relatively cold tires, and then just suddenly the seas part, and there, nowhere to go for the McLaren.
Yeah, just with Marco Radicic seeing to be the first there, you're right on the back bumper, looking down to see what line to take. And this is potential for Ian James now. Last season at St. Petersburg had 2 DNFs, and that affected his championship. Didn't quite have the run he was looking for at St. Petersburg, Florida either. Now going to score a big fat 0 points here today.
Well, that could be good news for Lawson Oshermax. I'm sure Lawson's been biting his nails here this morning, seeing that his car's qualified back in the 20th position. You're mired in the action where things can happen like we've already seen here today, Jeff. So I'm sure that's a concern for Lawson Oshermax, and he'll certainly, you don't want to wish any bad luck on any of your competitors, but you know that Ian is going to be certainly a championship contender.
Yeah, you can see the damage to the back of Jason Bell's Audi R8 there. Some bodywork flapping in the wind, and that was the car that Andy Pilgrim got into when he saw the replay there. As we're still waiting on word on Pilgrim's car to see if there was any damage significantly there. You got to worry about oil coolers and radiators there at the front end. Well, still under pace lap with the incident with Elise Sabo in that McLaren 570 GT4. Unfortunate with Mark Keegan in that Panos Avezzano. Causing the incident there. Drivers here, Shane Lewis and Gar Robinson in that number 74 Rance Racing Machine doing a good job. He's up into the 8th position. But Tony Gaples, boy, he talked about his fitness program there at the beginning, losing a little over 40 pounds on the weight. And it wasn't all in his hair. The last weight he lost, he cut his hair out for Tony Gaples, but just a great personality. Long-time veteran here in Pirelli World Challenge competition. Ray Sorensen, team manager there at Black Dog Speed Shop, multiple championships with that team, bringing this Camaro GT4 platform. And there's the damage you can see to the second of those Black Dog Speed Shop Camaros. Yeah,
it's going to hurt the aero effect of that car a little bit. Importantly, though, I don't see any water spraying from it, so they may have dodged a big one there in terms of any damage that could have potentially taken them out of the race here today. So just that stack-up effect, even with the experience of Andy Pilgrim, you can get caught out there. And getting back to the Tony Gaples thing, I spoke to Michael Cooper, who's teamed with him this weekend. Obviously, he was Tony's teammate when Michael won this GTS championship a few years ago. He said, I think I can get the best out of Tony. He listens to me. Yes, he looks at Lawson's data. He'll put it down after a short while. I can get him focused. He said, I can tell him where he's losing time rather than him just telling me where he's a bit quicker. He said, I can really get him focused on the task at hand, and I think that's what we saw this morning. Tony's always been a great racer. He always makes up a ton of spots in the races, but qualifying has kind of been his stigma over the years, and this morning's run was really good. I mean, 10th out of this 37-car field is a great run for Tony.
Well, trying to get an update here on that number 1. So I think Ryan Marine is down there with that teammate, Lawson Aschenbach.
That's right. I got lost in here, and certainly championship implications given what we've seen. What do you know about the state of the car as it is?
It sounds like it's okay, so we're going to keep going. I mean, there's no reason to come in and lose a bunch of positions right now, because if we come in for a radiator or something, we're pretty much done anyways. So I'm hopeful it stays together. I mean, we've got a tough Chevrolet Camaro GT4R. I mean, these things can take a beating, and they're still trucking along. So fortunate to have that kind of car on track. And I know Andy's doing what he can out there. It's tough. I mean, this is 38 cars, a lot of competition. We're struggling a little bit on pace right now, but he's really experienced. He knows what he's doing, and I've got a lot of faith in him right now. So we can hopefully move ahead.
Good luck with your stint.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, good to hear from Lawson, and experience is the key. I think he said there 286 starts between those two drivers. Andy Pilgrim, Lawson Aschenbach, 6 championships here in Pirelli World Challenge between the two.
Yeah, that's awesome stats to have in your corner in a situation like this. But I think they was hoping that Andy, even though he's made up, he's up to 16th and 20th, so with the carnage, he certainly grabbed some positions there. But I think they were hoping that he had some time on the board to get that car a little bit more towards the pointy end of the field. So we now see that Panos. That's a sorry sight there, seeing that car drug away, and there's going to be an all-nighter going on down with the Panos team. They're fighters. They've got some of the best mechanics and personnel in the business. So if there's a way of getting that car fixed, they'll certainly give it every attempt that they can.
And no slouch behind the team manager role either, with Tom Milner prepping those two cars with Preston Calvert and Ian James full-time for the season, and then Mark Keegan behind the wheel here today with Ian James. Watching our Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas here at Circuit of the Americas for GTS Sprint X competition.
Less than 5 minutes away from that 25-minute window, so that may coincide with right as we're about ready to go back to green. Even though there's not been a lot of racing for these starting drivers here today, strategy will overrule that, rather than just saying, you know what, I know you didn't get a shot at it today, but we've got to try and get the best result we can. If the strategy is to get the second driver in, as we've mentioned, a lot of these guys running in the Pro-Am class here today, and the rules dictated that the AM driver started, so effectively a faster guy should be getting in next, or a faster driver. Some females in the race as well, of course.
Well, pace car lights are out as we get ready to go green next time by. We'll see how that strategy plays out with the pit stops coming up. About 3 minutes to go, so they will be able to get a full lap in before they're able to come back down that pit lane at the 25-minute mark. So we'll see. We'll definitely keep Ryan Marine busy down there on pit lane with 38 cars doing pit stops.
Yeah, and I imagine that they're going to get the green, then the next time by, you should be able to duck into pit lane the way it's timing out, just doing the rough math here. So I think you'll get the green before the 25-minute mark, but next time around with a 2-minute plus lap, it should be open for anyone who chooses to head down to the pit lane.
Harry Gottsacker in our acceleration zone once again. It's his determination when he wants to go. Vesko Kozarov right on the back bumper of that Sin as he comes down through turn number 19. A hard corner down the hill. A lot of fines and penalties so far for track limit violations right there. Out of turn number 20 onto the front stretch, looking to go green again. He's on it, waiting for that green flag to fly. Goes down to protect the inside, Cal.
Yeah, he does, which he's certainly entitled to do. Kozarov tries to get another run. What will he do this time? Kozarov went really high, doing it once again. He's going to try and sweep to the inside. Didn't quite time it the last time. Maxwell looks to the inside. Can Vesko get that Audi tucked in as Maxwell and Dean Martin fight out for third position?
It just looks like that Sin is so good coming off the corner. He's able to pull a little bit of a gap. Just Vesko going to be in defense mode against Maxwell now.
Look at that Sin. Look at Gottsacker. Really good handling there. That lightweight car super quick through the S's. Change of direction. So important there.
Scott Maxwell starting to go on the back bumper of that Audi of Kozarov, the reared-in racing stance machine. Gottsacker pulled about a 3-4 car length lead as it comes down to turn number 11 through 10 down the hill. 1 minute, 15 seconds to go before the pit stops.
It's going to be tight as they cross the stripe. It was about a full green flag lap, but I think it's going to be tight for the leaders. You might find that some of the guys at the back of the pack, we talked about it earlier, maybe the first opportunity to pit will be open to the guys at the back of the pack versus the front. Look at this, Vesko defending heavily here from Scott Maxwell. Dean Martin in the draft. big battle here for second.
Yeah, the two Mustangs nose to tail, trying to go to the outside of Kozarov down here into turn at number 12, protecting to the inside. Look at Fosnot and Grahovic side by side as well.
Oh, this is tight coming off. Maxwell gets forced wide a little bit, but he's got the inside line for the next corner, turn 13. Dean Martin has a sniff as well. Almost contact there between he and Kozarov.
And Grahovic was able to get around Fosnot for that 5th place as they go down through the stadium section that you call it here, Calvin, through turn number 16.
Yeah, great viewing area right here. Then this triple apex carousel type corner where it drops off on the exit. Down the hill, sweeps down, but up front, Harry Gottsacker has taken the pace of that sin that he showed in qualifying and put it to great effect here on this restart lap.
According to our official clock, 8 seconds to go. Pit lane is right here. None of our leaders going to be able to pit. We'll see if any of the back markers now, middle of the field, duck down to pit lane. It's 35 minutes now to go, so 25 minutes have expired.
Yep. Anyone else now who hasn't got to that stripe yet, you can see it clearly marked across the racetrack, right where the Armco barrier and the tires start, but the pit entrance. Maxwell up to second. Dean Martin out of the inside of Kozarov. He just sweeps across and takes the apex from him.
Toby Grahovic going to be trying to see if he can work his way around Dean Martin as well. Toby's been a busy man in that classic BMW. 3 races in a row in that M4 GT4 with St. Pete, Sebring. And now, as you see, some of our teams down here on pit lane.
Yeah, some of these guys towards the back end of the pack. And if you got another caution right now, it would really help these guys out. They should be able to do this driver change, get the cars back out, stay on the lead lap.
You see Justin Raphael in the classic BMW coming down. Ryan, what do you have down there on pit lane?
Standing by, taking a look at the Black Dog guys as they look over that Camaro GT4. Andy Pilgrim out, Lawson Aschenbach gets in. They took a look at that front end of the car, definitely damaged. They peeled away some of the bodywork to hopefully allow some better airflow to the radiator. Brakes are steaming, and Aschenbach pulls away.
Remember, they had that 77-second time from the enter pit lane to exit pit lane and complete their driver change. Trying to look for our countdown clocks as it looks like Cameron Lawrence and the car of Darren Jorgensen backwards, the number 113 M4 GT4, right there on the exit of turn number 9 before turn number 10. He able to get back underway as Lawson Aschenbach now in the car, going to have to play some catch-up as he's dropped back to, I'm sure it says 18th on the board, but Toby Grahovic got around Dean Martin now.
Yeah, it's a great little battle. Toby's having a great run here. Super stuff, and certainly Black Dog speech up very much on top of that strategy in terms of getting Lawson in. You can see the slight delay in him taking off. There was an issue. You just had to be stationary for 45 seconds to add to that 32 seconds pit lane delta. Cannot be shy of that 77 seconds spent on pit lane.
Well, your leader, Harry Gottsacker, fastest race lap last time by, 2:19.789, by almost 2 seconds a lap, as your leader is down on pit lane.
Just playing it safe here. John Meraki and the Racer's Edge team can only hurt you by rolling the dice and staying out.
Looks like Toby Grahovic and Kozarov stayed out and Grahovic stayed out.
Tony Gables. Gables, a great start here. Going to be turned over to Michael Cooper. There you see him on the wall.
It's getting busy down on pit lane. Ryan, what do you got?
All kinds of activity on pit lane right now. Jade Buford getting out of that PF Mustang, and Buford getting in, Maxwell getting out. Further down, you're right, the leader is in. It's an interesting pit stop, driving solo. Harry Gottsacker in that Sin just sitting there on pit lane, waiting for the time to expire so he can get back out, but an impressive start from him so far. The one remaining Panos also on pit lane. We see James Safronis getting in to his GMG Audi, so very busy indeed down on pit lane here at Cota.
Yeah, Alex Welch did a great opening stint there. Good qualifying effort, and James said, I got the right guy, the right bronze driver to be doing this Sprint X program with. He, of course, had a great year last year. James Safronis, a couple of titles, but in the GTA Sprint and Sprint X competition, so he knows the format. Team GMG at the top of their game right now, and they got off to a strong start at St. Pete. A minor electrical glitch in the first race that cost him a few positions, but bounced back strongly on day 2.
Well, Toby Grahovic staying in that car, and Vesko Kozarov staying in. He's got a lot of experience already on the track today, doing a 40-minute touring car race. Ace Robbie, his teammate, waiting on pit lane to jump into that car. Both of these drivers category in the bronze classification, so there was no pro or am. They can distinguish who they want to be as Harry Gottsecker back onto the track.
Roby's a bit more of an unknown to us, Jeff. He's certainly got great European experience, but you'd have to think that Vesko may be the quicker of the two drivers. So the amount of yellow that we've seen in the first half of this race has kind of backfired on them a little bit. I'm sure they wanted to stretch a gap on the rest of the competitors with Vesko's pace, and now they're probably going to stretch this to pit him at the last possible moment in terms of that 35-minute window when you've got to get that pit stop done. But you never know what the teams are thinking on pit lane as Grahovic does stay out a little bit longer. Could probably do another 2 more laps would be tight. Certainly 1 more will be safe. 2 would be really tight to that window to get him in. He's probably got to pit this lap thinking about the pit lane delta. You've got to be out of pit lane by 35 minutes.
Yeah, so he'll have to pit next time by 2-minute 20-second lap. That previous time, you add that to 2:40. Not enough time to get that pit stop done. So we're over halfway now. Just at that point. 30 minutes to go in this race as Kozarov sliding that Audi R8 LMS GT4 just to the outside there in turn number 1.
Yeah, he's having fun, that's for sure. But when you look at his pace compared to Gottsacker, it's not in the same zip code. Gottsacker down in the 219s, and Kozarov, despite the impressive run here, is in the low 221. So you'd have to think one thing settle down here and cycle through this pit stop exchange, that Gottsacker is going to be in great shape with the pace he has here this weekend.
Good shot now of that McLaren 570 GT4, and I got to think Ray Mason started that car. We'll have Paul Holton behind the wheel now, and he's getting aggressive, getting around the number 40 Mustang. That's James Pesic and Shelby Blackstock machine. He's right behind the number 51 of Preston Calvert now coming up through the field.
Yeah, and certainly Paul Holton knows this McLaren 570 as very, very well. Had a great year last year. He's now McLaren official team driver, factory driver. So that's a nice acknowledgement for his impressive pace last year. Won the TC Championship driving that Audi TCR machine. Just a young man who is going places in sports car competition.
Looking at some of the cars, you see Paul Holton flashing his lights to Preston Calvert, desperate to get around and make up some ground here. Back in 23rd, working his way up now, down to the inside of Calvert. And there is George Kurtz with his teammate Colin Brown. And Colin, you know, a lot of history and experience as well as for that young man.
Yeah, Colin's one of the quickest kids in the paddock, that is for sure. I call him a kid. He's still young, even though despite he's been in this paddock for so many years in sports car competition. But he led one of the earlier practice sessions this weekend, so he certainly has the pace to do it. James Sophonis is going to be tough in the GMG Audi as well, so he's got a lot of really tough competition if you're going to get a victory here this afternoon.
Looking down to see who has made pit stops and who hasn't. The number 11 Chevy Camaro switching over to Michael Cooper now. I think that's the first car that has taken a pit stop so far. Is your leader Vesko Kozarov down on pit lane in that Reardon Racing Audi R8. See right behind him Shane Lewis coming in. Here goes Kozarov. Oh, got a pit spot all the way down in his Reardon Racing machine. Ace Roby going to come in and do the driver change there. Your leader in.
35 miles an hour is the pit lane speed limit.
Ryan, can you get a view of our driver change for the leaders?
Taking a look at it right now, Jeff. It looks like Vesko Kozarov climbing out of the car. What an impressive opening stint from him. He'll be replaced in that beautiful Audi by Ace Roby here in just a moment. Interesting roll of the dice with the strategy call. The drivers, you know, choosing where to go. That's a couple of bronzes, so they had some opportunity to make their choice, who they want to start, who they want to finish. Whether or not the caution's played into their hands, that remains to be seen. But an interesting and successful opening stint so far. The driver change just wrapping up.
Saw Toby Grahovic actually stayed out on the track this last time. Just set a personal best in sector number 1. He's going to be trying to hustle it around because he has to get in pit lane and complete that pit stop in the 72nd roll. I don't think he can do it, Cal.
Now, basically, he's got a pit before 26:17 is on the board. Because if you take 77 seconds off, you're going to be under that 25 to go mark. So they may have cut it a little bit too shy here. And the rule is 35 minutes. You've got to be out of the pit lane. You've got to hit the timing out loop. Not just get in by 35, it's been done with the pit stop.
And excuse me, it looks like it's going to be Jade Buford stepping into that number 55 with Scott Maxwell. That should, when the pit stop cycle around, should be your leader in the PF Racing Ford Mustang, followed by Michael Cooper, and then Drew Stavely has worked his way up. He's in 12th overall, should be third in line, and Lawson Aschenbach in fourth.
We'll know within a lap how everyone's stacked up here, who got the edge, who didn't. Certainly for Kozrov, I think they were hoping that he had a few more green flag laps on the board to try and gap the rest of the competition. Pretty tight. You can't afford to run afoul of those rules, and I think for Grahovic, they may have miscalculated here, Jeff.
Okay, comes down onto pit lane, 27 seconds to go. Trying to see if we can get a word from Ryan Marine there if he sees that classic BMW pit spot, if they can get out in time. Only has 18 seconds left before he can get across that line.
I just don't see how they're going to make it happen, but we'll deal with that in a moment. The mule up front, things are shaking up here.
Yeah, lost.
Here you see damage. Aschenbach looks to the inside of Stavely. Yeah, we've shown Lawson over the years, shown so much patience and racecraft, but he's put in a tough situation. And there you look at the clock, we're under 25 minutes. The 92 car is on pit lane. That is not going to work. That is not going to work. I'm not sure if they just misjudged how the rule works, but essentially it's not hitting pit lane by 35 minutes. It's being done.
Looking at the 92 classic BMW, trying to get word if they extended that time a little bit due to the yellow flags that we did have. So they may have actually timed it quite perfectly, but we'll see what happens when everybody cycles back around for Toby Grahovic's classic BMW team.
They look happy, so unless I'm misinterpreting the rules, Jeff.
Like I said, the only thing that it might possibly have been is had they extended that pit stop time due to the yellow flags. That's the only thing, and they could have did an all call to race control from all the teams to let them know that, hey, we are extending these times around. As Chris Omach comes into that car now. I believe he actually got out ahead of Jay Buford, or he's definitely ahead of Lawson Aschenbach. Don't think he got ahead of Buford, though.
Well, they confused us there. Why Godsacker has lost so much time unless they had a really slow pit stop and just played it too conservatively, because he's buried right now, showing in the 8th position. While Aschenbach is in 5th. So you have a guy who's in the lead versus a guy that's got damage in terms of Pilgrim's machine, and you lose positions on there.
Yeah, we'll have to check and see what the pit lane times were for each of these drivers. We're waiting for the time to cycle through after they cross the line.
For Godsacker, it should have been easy math. Bring the car, park up for 45 seconds and go. Nothing else had to happen unless he couldn't get far under the hood or something.
Yeah, you have to turn your cars off when you do come to the pit stop, so if you're not able to refire the car, if it takes an extra couple of seconds to get that car refired, it could have been the loss of the pit spot time.
Up front, there's Michael Cooper. We said he'd be a factor today. He is. He's running up in the top 3. Going to try and chase down Jay Buford.
I think he's going to be in second here because, you know, Chris Omach in that BMW is still listed as first right now, but they haven't cycled back through.
Good point.
You saw Buford ahead of Cooper. Drew Stavely there as well, doing a great job. But it was like you said, he's by himself in that number 12 Janetta. Park it for 45 seconds and then go. Assuming you're doing the pit lane speed, you're good to go. Let's hit some more news down on pit lane from Ryan Marine.
Yeah, guys, checked in on the classic BMW situation, and the team indicated they think they're okay. They think they got the driver change done in time. The series, to this point at least, has not indicated otherwise. So they believe in the classic BMW pits that they're good to go.
Drew Stavely under attack, or attacking Chris Omach now in that BMW.
As you said, Jeff, with the timing and scoring now cycling through, it is Buford who leads from Cooper. 92 cars shown in 3rd position.
There's a good battle with Jason Bell, Gar Robinson. Jason Bell, one of those drivers that's doing it by himself. Gar behind him, and then Colin Brown working his way through the field. Back in 19th, this will be a spot for 18th now as he can get around Gar here.
Yeah, Gar didn't want to give it up. Side-by-side action up there through turn 1, and he has to drop back a little bit. So the Ranch 74 team gradually getting to grips with this AMG number 74. It's a really stellar team. A lot of success in Trans Am competition recently. And Gar is a real chip off the old block of his father, George Robinson.
Kyle Marcelli now in that FAF Racing Porsche Cayman, the number 13 that you see. He'll be working his way up from his teammate Fidani, who started that vehicle with FAF Motorsports. And right behind him was that second car we saw with Henry Schmidt and Gregory Leafouge. So Gregory Leafouge in 13th now.
Yeah, you talk about some of the names, guys like Kyle Marcelli. You got Stephen McAleer behind the wheel of the 17 car, sharing that car with Justin Raphael. There's some real studs behind the wheel there to try and get to this checkered flag this afternoon. Buford, though, he's a threat for this championship. Found a great home. Didn't know where he was going to be throughout the majority of this offseason. Got the call with PF Racing. And he is a great fit. Has a lot of experience with the Mustang, with the Multimatic group over the years. So in terms of developing this race car, having an association with the factory, essentially, that was a great fit for that team to make that decision.
Did a lot of development driving on this Ford Mustang GT4. Competed last season in the American Ninja Warrior TV show. Just got the call actually 2 days ago that he qualified for the new season of American Ninja Warrior. Unfortunately, they wanted him to film that episode on the VIR race weekend, so he's trying to see if he can get that rescheduled. So if you're a fan of that TV show, now you got a local racer to cheer from too with Jade Buford in that Mustang.
Looking at the lap times, he and Michael Cooper are super close, just a 1/10 of a second apart right now in terms of their last lap. So similar pace. Aschenbach will be happy to have his car up into the top 6 after a frustrating qualifying performance, then narrowly missing major damage to the front end of that race car and a stack up in turn 1 with Andy Pilgrim behind the wheel.
Jason Bell and the number 40 Mustang, the teammate there to your overall leader, Jay Buford. That's Shelby Blackstock behind the wheel now. And then right behind him, the number 19, Jeff Burton in his reared-in racing Audi R8 GT4 car. And getting word now that Kyle Marcelli, that number 13 Porsche, going to be getting a drive-through penalty. Too fast on pit lane. Ryan Marine, what do you have down there on pit?
Now standing by with one of the guys you were just talking about, Scott Maxwell, watching Jade Buford in action just a little bit ago. How was your first stint in Pirelli World Challenge?
Pretty quiet. I only did 2 racing laps, so it was a little frustrating. I wanted to get going there and try to have a run up to the front, but the car was good. And Jade's doing a great job, so our Ford Performance car is strong. We're leading right now, but we got some hot shoes trying to catch up, so it should be interesting.
Anything you learned today that you can use again tomorrow?
Well, it's my first PwC Pirelli race, so I'm learning as I go. Every time out, I'm learning something new, especially about the tires. So, yeah, I hopefully can apply it tomorrow, and I'm the finisher tomorrow, so that should be interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That's a great point that Scott brings up. Finishing driver today starts tomorrow, and the grid is based on the car's fastest lap, so it doesn't matter which driver set the fast lap. The grid will be stacked up according to the fast lap times from today's race.
Right now,
contact there with the 19 Audi.
We saw the guys battling there in that 19. That's Jeff Burton. He was battling with Shelby Blackstock and Jason Bell. Let's take a quick look here and see what we can see.
Oh, he just loses it. Oh, and then backs it into the
number 34 Morello Racing Machine.
Yeah, Shimshak.
Just lost it. You heard him lose. I'm not sure he got back underway or not. But here's Colin Brown and Paul Holt. Mark Clinton with Max Riddle now behind the wheel of that McLaren. Max Riddle, some great success in the Aston Martin GT4 programs. Won a lot of races with his co-driver Chris Wilson last season in Sprint X competition.
I think they won the very first Sprint X race ever. Didn't they, up in Canada?
Yeah, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park they did, yes. Won again at Utah Motorsports campus as well.
Great to see Max back in Pirelli World Challenge competition. Currently running in the 16th spot, so I don't think Colin Brown envisioned being battling for 17th with Paul Holton. I think he had visions of battling for the lead here this afternoon, so they've got a lot of work to do to get up into the big points. The focus now will be on getting a good fast lap in to establish a grid for tomorrow. So trying to turn a bad day or a frustrating day into a good one for tomorrow.
Battle for 18th as it was Max Riddle who had it. Gar Robinson went down to the inside in turn number 20, made that move, and Riddle able to get back around Robinson going down into turn number 1.
We saw a little bit of spray up near the hood area of the McLaren there. As a little overheating valve, I think, that releases pressure there, so keep an eye on that.
Gottsecker continues to put down laps. He's lapping, besides Drew Stavely, who just set his best lap, he was lapping about a second quicker than the cars in front of him as that Morello Racing comes down there to number 34. You see the pit stop there, Ryan Marine.
Yep, taking a look at it right now. Interesting to note, no tire changes in GTS in Sprint X unless you can prove that you have a problem with the tire. Right now, this car up on the jacks, they're going to make that change at the right rear. From my perspective, it appears there is some right front damage to this Murillo Racing Mercedes AMG. They're going to take a look at that as well and try and get the car back out into the fight.
Yeah, very unfortunate, Ryan. That was really involved into a car that, wasn't his own fault, just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, that's just racing sometimes. Nothing you can do about that. You're just minding your own business, and suddenly, before you know it, you're involved in someone else's little error there. But try and regroup. Matt certainly did a great job at the start of this race, running up in the top 5 or 6 there after a strong qualifying effort this morning.
Oh, Jade Buford continues to lead over Michael Cooper and Drew Stavely, your top 3 here today for Sprint X. As he gets back underway in that Murillo Racing car, some body rub. It looks like still some damage at the front end as well. A big old gouge in the door when he ran by there as our safety crew is trying to get some of the cars. Got a gap in the, cover that by a yellow flag. And
it's only about 20 grand's worth of pieces. GT4 cars are fun, but you don't want to be fixing them too often.
Not at all. And wait for the safety crew and the track crew here at Circuit of the Americas. Those Nissan Titan safety vehicles as well, able to get that clear. We're able to stay under green. Yeah, Nate Stacy there to the outside of the 27 classic BMW.
Al Carter there, tucked way to the inside, trying to defend that overtaking opportunity up into turn 1. With Aurora Strauss, who did a really nice job in qualifying. We're super impressed with her here this weekend in terms of her on track and off track. She had a busy weekend, was on Good Morning America, getting a lot of PR for our championship and for herself as a driver.
Yeah, got a good surprise there right at the end as Danica Patrick came through and wished her good luck. So a pretty neat deal to be on the national broadcast there with Al Carter a little bit loose in that M4. Jason Hart right behind him, starting to pressure in that classic BMW as they go side by side down through turn number 9. James Sofronis in that number 14 Audi R8 LMS GT4. Harry Gottsekker's worked his way up to 4th now as he's starting to climb back up after a terrible pit stop for that Sin R1 Racer Edge team.
Lost a ton of ground there. Obviously, they were one of the first to pit. Well, we had the back tail end of the field pit first, and then as soon as the pit lane opened, that 25-minute window for the leaders, he was in. But it should have been a pretty easy stop in terms of just putting the stopwatch on it. So I'm not sure how they lost so much ground, unless he just came out in some bad traffic and just got caught out that way with other cars that stayed on the racetrack.
Getting the word that Kyle Marcelli had to do that drive-through penalty due to being too fast during that driver change, that 72nd lap. He has not come into the pits yet, so actually getting a black flag. And I think if you get the chance to see that black flag once or twice, if you don't make the trip down pit lane, they'll just simply stop scoring you.
Yeah, you got to do it, otherwise you're not going to live to fight another day. It's going to be all over. But James Sofronis, what a year he had last year. 11 wins in total in sprint and Sprint X competition. Has made the switch to the Audi for this year after a long history of Porsche, but he's an Audi guy as well. 200 plus starts now in Pirelli World Challenge competition, and still doesn't miss a beat. Very much in the thick of the action.
And what a superb run here from your GTS AM leader, Drew Stavely, in that Ginetta G55. He's running by himself here. And no co-driver, came out pit lane, set there for that 45-second mandatory run, swept the weekend at St. Petersburg, Florida, leading here today.
Yeah, it's a really cool story. Basically had a driving career that really wasn't going anywhere. Then he met up with Frank Gannett at the driving school out at Utah Motorsports campus, got the opportunity to put a team together, and I think under the guidance of someone like Ian Lacey, that's a very strong combination. So hats off to Frank Gannett, who's competing here this weekend in supporting Drew and the whole team, and given a young driver who kind of slipped through the net a new opportunity with his racing career, and Drew is paying him back with wins.
There is your leader, Jade Buford, in that number 55 Mustang. There is the gap back to second. Michael Cooper in his Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro. Both of these cars, the new homologated GT4 versions that we've seen competing here in Pirelli World Challenge competition before, is Gottsecker back there for third, looking to the inside of Drew Stavely coming down here into turn number 12. You can see them hard on the brakes. Paddle shiftering on both of these cars. We got the old pony car wars, muscle car battle, American Iron V8s, and we got paddle shifters on the wheel.
Doesn't sound quite right, does it?
Not at all.
But talking to Michael this morning, he was really concerned about managing the tyres over the long run here. So obviously with not a lot of green flag running in the first half of this race, that has saved the tyres a little bit, but he just wanted to make sure he managed those. He said that Lawson's saying the opposite, that we wouldn't be quick over the one lap, but we would be strong over the longer run. But even so, let's not forget Lawson Oschenbach's car is carrying that extra 2.5% of weight with Andy Pilgrim as his co-driver this afternoon, as Lawson still runs in the top 6. So Fronis has got around him.
Speaking of cars that got around him,
good lap. Whitmer has just laid down a 19.5, fastest lap of the race, quicker than Gottsacker.
Yeah, and speaking of Gottsacker, up to third place now. He gets around Drew Stavely, so as they come across the line, he'll shuffle into that third position. Still was the fastest car on the track by, wow, 1.5 seconds over Buford in the leader. The gap is 3.6 seconds back to that second place car of Michael Cooper, and then another 3 seconds up to Buford. So he's about 6 seconds total from our leader, but only 9 minutes to go, so I'm not sure if he can do that. See that Gottsecker, his lap times have always been down in that 2:20, but let's get down to Ryan Moraine here with the Racer Edge team.
I do have an update for you. It sounds like it was simply a miscommunication on pit road about when to go, when to leave the pit stall, they say. Nothing more nefarious than that. Simply a miscommunication this time.
Yeah, it could be devastating and ultimately cost young Harry Gottsecker a victory here. He's still in that podium spot, sitting in third. Not sure there's enough time, Cal, making up 7 seconds here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can get closer to Cooper, whether he can get close enough to attack him and make a move. But the good news is he's got a relatively quick lap. He's probably going to be in the top couple of rows. Not pole position material right now, because I see that Hart has got a 2:19.6 on the board. Whitmer's got a 2:19.5. Gottsacker a 2:19.7. So, yeah, it's frustrating to see one get away from him. He's had the pace here, and it must have been a big miscommunication. It looked like they lost about 10 seconds to the rest of the field.
Under 9 minutes to go here, about 8.5 left. Kyle Marcelli, I believe, served his penalties. He drops back down to 20th in the fray there with the Battle of Carr Robinson. Max Riddle, he's sitting in 18th now in his McLaren. Preston Calvert right behind him, the lone Panos left in this field. And you can see McLaren right there behind him, back and forth, trying to get around. Is Calvert able to get around Max Riddle?
That's a great little battle there. Preston's really feeling that. He's working hard on his fitness and is taking things seriously as he makes the move to the Panos team for this year. When you got a guy like Tom Milner at the helm, it kind of motivates you. He's a great motivator, and he's a keen racer. Even though he says, I'm somewhat retired, he's still leading this race team. And they've got some real pros, some real veterans of many years of motorsport in that workshop, working hard to get these cars to the front.
Well, McAleer goes from behind and passes both of them down the straightaway in his Monticello Motor Club Classic BMW.
Well, he's a champion. He knows how to win in these style of race cars, and has done it before. And I think he's another one of these guys who's just give him the right opportunity. Oh, we see a battle here.
Yeah, Lawson Oschenbach has that 6th place. Nick Whitmer wants it.
Yeah.
His teammate Samantha Tan started that BMW, and he goes down to the inside to make that move over Oschenbach.
Yeah, Whitmer is absolutely flying. He has the fastest lap of the race right now. Lawson doesn't want to give it up. Now he has to. Just tuck back in. Whitmer is absolutely flying up to the 6th position.
Yeah, fastest race lap, that 2:19.546. So the car that finishes is person that starts the race, so he's right now on pole and moving up into that 6th plate.
See him there using all of that curb and more. Lawson tucks it even more inside. So that's the giveaway. They told him in the driver's meeting, we're going to give that one to you, and everyone's taking advantage of it.
Yeah, use
see
every
what
bit of
happens
track
tomorrow.
you can, right? And they see, there goes Lawson snapping over to the inside, trying everything he can to fill up the mirrors.
Whitmer's into the ABS.
Racing.
I think he got in super deep there. Once the ABS kicks in, you lose the steering. And Boy, oh boy. A little moment, he's pushing him hard.
You can see Whitmer defending down there to the inside, sees that there's no more threat, starts to work his way back to the outside. And that's okay. That's not a block. You're not making a move in reaction or move in response.
Yeah, and that's the real key. That's what stewards want to see. They want to see good, hard racing, but make it fair. If you want to make a move, if you don't want to defend your line, do it early. Be proactive. Don't react to someone who's making a move behind you, because it can get ugly, and that's what you don't want to see, any contact.
Well, Aschenbach back to 7th now. Whitmer up to that 6th position. It still is Jade Buford over Michael Cooper by 3.1 seconds. Harry Gottsecker about a little less than 5.5 seconds back, still in 3rd. We'll see what that gap is when they cross the line here with about 5.5 minutes to go. Should be about 2.5 laps to go here.
Yeah, I think that Gottsacker may have enough strength and speed right now to catch Cooper. It's going to be really tight there for that 2nd position. I think Buford's got the race handled right now, unless something happens to his race car. But I think for Michael Cooper, he's got to dig deep here, because looking at the lap times, the last time over the stripe, Gottsacker was over a second faster than Michael Cooper, and the gap right now is only just over a second.
And you can see it right there on your screen as Gottsacker going to the inside in that Sin R1. Michael Cooper will do all he can to try to stay in front of this Sin, and if those cars start battling, I think, like you mentioned there, Cal, I think Jade will just be able to pull away once these cars get side by side and battle for that 2nd position.
Well, Jade has got that nice comfort factor, about 3 seconds. If you hit a little bit of traffic, you don't have to panic, you don't have to make any rash moves. You can afford to lose a second or two and still not be looking in your mirrors. But for these guys, it is game on. And tell you what, if they get bought to any at all, Sofronis is not that far back, the number 14 GMG Audi.
See Michael Cooper using that every bit of course there in turn number 8, then down in turn number 9, this downhill turn 10 into the hard braking zone of 11. Gottsacker not close enough to make that move for 3rd base, right on the back bumper of that Camaro, as James Sofronis getting around Drew Stavely. Stavely maybe closing that gap a little bit here. It was about 0.3 of a second quicker the previous lap.
The key for Stavely is just focus on the AM division. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in the battle. Yes, you want to finish as high as you possibly can, but don't throw it all away for a position that really doesn't matter in the overall scheme of things. But right now, we talk about Harry Gottsacker and learning the trade. He is learning from some of the best in the business right now.
Gottsacker sitting back in 3rd with Michael Cooper, your GTS champ. Was a Cadillac factory driver, one of those young men that worked his way up through the Pirelli World Challenge ladder system, started in our touring car division and a Mazda Speed 3, won the championship there in 2012. Kind of took a couple years off, went through school, got a degree, working on a couple more degrees now, came back and won the GTS championship, and that earned his Cadillac ride, competed last season with multiple wins.
Yeah, won that Sprint X title with Jordan Taylor. So Michael, very frustrated that he doesn't have to ride in the GT form of competition this year, and essentially signed a contract with a team that suddenly changed on him, and it's hard to pick up the pieces, but I think everyone knows the talent that Michael Cooper has. It's only a matter of time before he gets his next opportunity in the next class up the ladder in Pirelli World Challenges. Gottsacker gets a big run here up the front straightaway. Cooper starts to move, he starts to feint. No, he doesn't. Gottsacker goes to the inside, takes the Sin down to the apex. Just needs to control it right here. Cooper tries to do the over-under. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah, that Sin is just so good on the handling and the lighter weight, able to be on the brakes a little bit better down there into turn number 1. Makes the move, gets the pass done. Cooper couldn't do anything but just let him go by.
I think right now for Cooper is just trying to hang on to that podium, because Sofronis has got some pace and he's not that far behind.
Looking at our AM category, Drew Stavely leading over Chris Omak in 2nd in his BMW, and 3rd in our AM category. You got to go down here. I believe it was Preston Calvert now in the AM.
Preston's had a really strong weekend.
Now skipped over Al Carter and Aurora Strauss 2nd in their BMW, the number 36.
Cooper settling in. He can see James Sofronis in his rearview mirror. Right now, looking at the pace, I'm not sure if Sofronis has enough pace to chase after Cooper with the time remaining in this race dwindling. Should be this lap plus one more.
Yeah, should be getting white flag this time by. And Gottsacker not very far off. He might have something to be able to run down Buford here in the closing moments. The gap was 3.3 before this. I think it's going to be a lot closer when they come across the stripe with Gottsacker.
And a question of what might have been. I mean, we've still got a lap to go here, so anything can happen. But for Gottsacker from the pole, has had the pace all day long. That little snafu, as Ryan related to in pit lane, just a miscalculation, miscommunication in terms of when they sent the car, has cost him the track position. He's fought hard to get back up to second, but you can see right there, Buford has a healthy margin, but one lap to go, and Harry is digging deep.
He is. You can see him hitting right to the edge. Buford running a little wide there at 19. Comes back here in that Ford Performance PF Racing Mustang GT4 out of turn number 20. Crosses the line. The time has not expired yet, so there it is. The white flag as they come by. One lap to go, and we're looking for that gap. It's 1.6 seconds. That time by, he was 1.6 seconds quicker than that previous lap. So right on there. Of course, catching him is totally different than passing him.
Yeah, and I mean, Buford has been in this position before many times on a couple of GTS races, despite only doing a partial season last year. And he knows the Sin. He's driven the Sin to victory, the car that's right behind him, so he'll know its strengths. He'll know it'll be good where he needs to defend from, and that's an advantage for him.
Yeah, Jade, pretty much every time he drove this Sin R1 GT4, he was in victory circle with this car. So like you said, Cal really should know even where to defend against that car as well.
This guy hit his marks, even though that red Sin is looming large in his rearview mirrors. Just hit your marks. You got enough of a gap to just bring it home.
Well, looking at our Pro category, it's the Jade Buford, the Gottsacker, and Cooper. Drew Stavely leading 5th overall. Second is that Al Carter, Aurora Strauss BMW in 2nd place, 10th overall, and Chris Omak and Toby Grahovic, who we thought didn't quite complete their pit stops on time. I guess they did. They're back in 3rd, 14th overall in the AM category. It's going to come down here to the wire, though, as Gottsacker behind Buford, but just not enough gap, I don't think.
Yeah, I think your key may be right on in terms of how they may be inside that pit stop window, is maybe they moved it in terms of when they started the clock. By the stewards, we didn't get that notification, but maybe the teams did. We'll have to clarify that once we get through the checker here. But just a few corners to go. Buford looks to be in control, but Gottsacker is honing in.
Now Jade, Scott Maxwell making his debut here at Pirelli World Challenge. Never ran Pirelli World Challenge with all the experience before. It's his first time he's ever driven here. And to come out, not bad for, I guess, I don't think you'd be a rookie, but the rookie at Pirelli World Challenge.
Big for this team as well, their debut win. PF Racing.
And one more corner to go. Jade Buford downshifts it a couple times. Comes out of turn number 20. There it is. Checkered flag, your race winner today. Jade Buford, Scott Maxwell in that PF Racing Ford Mustang GT4. Harry Gottsacker, the Racer Edge Sin R1, getting 2nd. And how about Michael Cooper and Tony Gaples, 3rd overall in that GTS Pro-Am category for Michael Cooper.
That was brilliant for Tony Gaples. Great qualifying performance. He'll be frustrated not to have more racing under his belt today with the couple of cautions we saw early on, but still a strong run and another podium finish for him.
See the Mustang there, Nate Stacey, number 52. It looks like right there at the end, a couple cars 3 wide there, as you see it. Colin Brown, I believe that's Al Carter, and Gregory Leafouge. Not sure who got around the line there.
I think.
And it was Colin Brown. So Colin, Carter, and Leafouge. So it looks like Al Carter able to hold his 11th position, and that was actually for a podium spot.
Of course, the finish line is earlier. I think as we were seeing them, they'd already
passed. Yeah, so that's right. The finish line's a little bit earlier. There is Gar Robinson comes across the line, and Preston Calvin. See if we can see who got to the initial line of the checkered flag for that 3 wide finish here.
Me out every time looking at the wrong stripe. Here they come. There's the stripe, the first one.
Yeah, it looks like it was Colin Brown, then Al Carter, and Gregory Leafouge. But Al Carter and LeFou, that was for 2nd in the AM category.
Yeah, and it would have been a lot different if they were going to the start line versus the finish line that you run here.
Well, it took a little while to get started, but once it did get going, it was battles all throughout, including our leader there. And like you said, Cal, got a feel for Harry Gottsacker.
Yeah, he'll be frustrated. He's just got to bounce back tomorrow. Got another full race to go by himself. Looking at the fastest lap times, Whitmer continues to hang on to that fast lap of the day. And and Hart in the 27. That's a great run for those guys. They should line up second tomorrow. Leah Fuge has a 19.6 on his
It'll be
clock
third
as well, yeah. Maybe Gottsacker on the outside of the second row.
Oh wait, I got a 2:19.550 for McAleer, number 17 BMW. Here's a look at your results though. Jade Buford, Scott Maxwell, once again your race winners in that PF Racing Ford Mustang. Harry Gottsacker, driving by himself in that number 69 Cent. Michael Cooper, Tony Gaples able to get third. James DeFronis, Alex Welch in the fourth place. Drew Stavely able to get fifth, their first place in our AM category. It was Nick Whitmer, Samantha Tan in sixth in the number 38. Lawson Aschenbach able to salvage with Andy Pilgrim, a seventh place finish in his Camaro. Jason Hard, Mike Vest in the eighth position, and Nate Stacy, Dean Martin in the number 9 and the number 52, and Colin Brown, George Kurtz rounding out your top 10. Yeah, looking at the times again, once again, the 2:19.550, I believe Magler is going to be starting second. Only 0.04 of a second away from that pole position.
Whitman had a great run there. The whole group will be ecstatic. Had a nice little get-together in the paddock last night where all of the teams were invited. It wasn't just for the ST Racing group. Everyone was there, a lot of the officials, obviously, and we swung by Jeff. It was a first-class evening put on by Samantha's dad, so we appreciate the invite, and they're rewarded nicely with a great run here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Ken Tan with that Samantha Tan Racing team. Good barbecue and food down there, so we appreciate that. A lot of great stuff going on here at Pirelli World Challenge. Go to world-challenge.com. Check out the race calendar. If you're anywhere close or near to a race, you need to come to one of these events. Here at Circuit of the Americas, this world-class facility, got the cool Optima Battery fan zone set up. Playing a lot of games down through there. Hyundai has a good center set up where you can get t-shirts, hats, lanyards, wins a lot of prizes there. So pretty cool deal going on all down here at Circuit of the Americas and every Pirelli World Challenge event. Looking at there's that Jade Buford, that white bumper, that car got delivered to the track Wednesday evening, and it was damaged in the race you saw with Jade in the first race at St. Petersburg. Made some contact there, so they haven't even had a chance to get that front end wrapped the right color or painted the right color on those PF Racing Mustangs, so just got that car back. Had a huge hit as well with Vinny Algaretta's car later on in that race at St. Petersburg, so that team had a lot of work to do getting it done and back out here for racing.
Yeah, that was a big one. St. Pete there brought out the early finish to that race, but Buford celebrates with his new teammate.
Now he's trying to climb up on that door bar. Be careful, don't hurt yourself for that American Ninja Warrior part. But getting the hug there, it was Scott Maxwell, Jay Buford, and down on pit lane, Ryan Marine with our race winners.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, posing for pictures here. A couple of happy guys, happy race winners. We'll let you get your helmet off here, Jade. We'll start perhaps with you, Scott. Welcome to Pirelli World Challenge. Pretty nice way to get things going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't really expecting a win first time out, but we'll take it. Jade had to work really hard there at the end for it. I didn't do too much, a couple laps. So this is Jade's win, and the Team PF Racing did a great job.
First win as well for the Ford Mustang GT4 in Pirelli World Challenge. You guys have been working hard on this car for quite some time. Jade, let's go to you now. Did you get the balaclava off? Congratulations. Victory lane. And you do it with your old running mate in Scott. How about that? How does this one feel?
It feels pretty good. We earned that one for sure. Some of the cars have outright pace on us, but we just executed the perfect race. We knew that was going to be our strength is consistency, and we went out and just executed the best we could, and that's all the cars got. Some people definitely have outright pace on us. That's their advantage. Cars could fall differently, and we're going to be a sitting duck the way we are, but our Ford Performance, Multimatic, built Mustang GT4 performed flawlessly. Could not be happier.
Congratulations. Do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely. We'll try our best.
But Jade Buford, it seems Cal just doesn't know anything but winning when he comes into Pirelli World Challenge competition, able to do a full season this time.
Well, he's becoming the consummate pro. I mean, he's learned lessons from guys like Lawson Aschenbach where they can accept the congratulations, but also put in that little, we don't have the pace to really do this every day, but he's spot on when you look at the lap times. There were faster cars in this race, but nonetheless executed it perfectly. Got a little bit of a break with Gottsacker on the pit stop, but great run for that whole team.
Well, that's in the books for our Pirelli World Challenge, round number 1 of the GTS Sprint X right here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas, presented here at Circuit of the Americas. And we have our AM winner, as well. If we look at the results there, Drew Stavely in the Ginetta G55 for Drew Stavely. Let's get down. I believe Ryan Marine has our second place finisher there with, I believe, Nick Whitmer, our fastest lap for our poll starting tomorrow.
You got it, guys. Fastest lap in the race means good starting position tomorrow, Nick. How important do you think that's going to be?
I'm so happy to be pole tomorrow. I mean, you can't say no to that. That's an awesome position to start with. ST Racing is going to start up front. Thanks to ST Racing for preparing this car. Thank you, Samantha Tan, for my co-pilot. She brought me the car super clean. Tires were amazing. That's all her job was to do. We started in the back, got all the way in the front, and then we won the hard charger, fastest lap. This is just as much as a win for us.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, good run from him to pole position, and like you said, working his way back from the back of the pack all the way up to 6th place.
Yeah, awesome run for that whole group. There's Samantha, she celebrates as well, so congratulations to the whole team. Perfect execution, and the other car had a strong run as well with Aurora Strauss and Al Carter.
Yeah, 2nd place in our AM category was the STR Racing BMW M4 GT4. Well, that is going to conclude our coverage here for the GTS Sprint X. Congratulations to Drew Stavely in that Ian Lacey Racing Ginetta G55, your race winner, AM category. 2nd place goes to Aurora Strauss, Al Carter in the 2nd of those ST Racing BMWs. And 3rd place, right at the line, it was the Henry Schmidt, Gregor Leia Foos machine, Steve Cameron Racing in that BMW M4 GT4. Well, thank you so much, Cal. That was exciting. Like I said, it took a little time to get it going, but once it did, it was fast and furious.
It was fun. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much to Ryan Marine on pit lane. Calvin Fish, I'm Jeff Leppard. Thanks for joining us here at world-challenge.com. Stick around. Still some more action to go here on our live webcast at worldchallenge.com. We'll see everybody back again here for round number 1 of the Sprint X competition in our GT a little later this afternoon.